for Jonathan Taylor. There he goes again. 50, 40, down the far sideline. He might do it again. 10, 5, touchdown. INDY.
Eastern Conference Championship has been captured by the Indiana Pacers.
Alex Pillow wins the 109th Indianapolis 500.
This is the Fan Morning Show with KB, JB, and Jeff.
Week 2, Colts training camp. Yes, we are here once again. That would be Westfield, Indiana, Grand Park, the complex, and our final 2 morning shows of the year, our final 2 morning practices of the year during the week. They still have some weekend morning sessions, but for us and the Fan Morning Show, this will be it. Monday and Tuesday out here. James Boyd to set up the week. Thursday night practice, so the lights will descend upon Westfield, Indiana. I believe a fireworks show after practice here. I don't think that's how I would describe the Colts quarterback play so far here through the first 4 days of camp. And then Saturday and Sunday, I want to say those are 10 a.m. start times. I probably need to double check that. But Saturday and Sunday, the Colts will go before they head to Baltimore for a joint practice. And the preseason opener is just 10 days away. Good Monday morning to you, Cam. Thank you. And Mark Dykton, hello.
Good morning,
Wow,
boys.
it's
How you
only
doing?
10 days away. Good morning, Mark. How are you?
I'm doing great, and I'm doing a lot better because I saw over the weekend the thing that made me beam ear to ear was I saw James Boyd signing bucket hats, which was my goal at training camp. So I was very happy to see that.
Yeah, shout out to Nick, a listener of the show. He leaned over the railing after practice Saturday and said, hey, can you sign my bucket hat? And I was like, are you dead serious? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, no, I will not do this. He's like, oh, come on. So
He goes, I heard about your 40 time.
yeah, I went and borrowed a Sharpie from another kid and signed that autograph, and that was certainly a funny moment for training camp.
I just assume like other people are like, who's that guy giving out autographs? Is he like one of the undrafted rookies or something? What's happening here?
Mark, you know what's funny? So after I signed that autograph, some kid had like a little football. He's like, hey, can you sign my football? Because he thought I was famous or something. And I'm like, no, I am trolling because this is not a real thing at all. But he insisted. So I signed the football. So I got 2 autographs in on Saturday. Hopefully no more, because I was telling the kid, I'm like, you do realize this is worth negative money. I'm still in debt from college.
Devaluing.
Exactly.
Look at this.
Autographs,
There's
that's
2 of 2 out there, so they're extremely rare. So you got to up that quantity now.
There you go.
2
there
shows
you go.
left to get some autographs.
Some overcast clouds here in Westfield. I know we got some overnight rain. He just recently got some rain. We actually felt a few droplets about 10 minutes ago, but the radar from my very amateur look at it appears to be okay. So again, 10 a.m. today, and James Boyd, something we'll hit on a lot on this show to start the week. It is full pad day, and it sounds like a good amount of full pads this week. We've yet to see that. So I don't know if you call last week like orientation, but this week almost is like you go from orientation to like midterms. Like I do feel we get into some pretty truer evaluation moments, particularly in the trenches. And we'll obviously talk about quarterbacks. Does that plan still stick with 50-50 here in week 2, or do we start to see any internal separation from the coaching staff with Anthony Richardson and Daniel Jones?
Absolutely. Obviously, I was out here Saturday. Kevin, I can fill you in on everything that you and others may not have seen who were not here in person. But
I was in the building with the old kids.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay, good. I did not, see
sir.
you on the sideline. I figured it was something to do with the family, but nevertheless, you did not miss much if you were paying attention to Max Bowen run the 40 instead of paying attention to the quarterbacks on the field, because it was
Ugly.
few and far between when it comes to success for those two. And honestly, it was a rough day for that offense. And I get that the defense is supposed to be better, but, man, when you're in the red zone and you can't get anything really going, that speaks to, I think, a lot of your quarterback play perhaps not being where it needs to be.
Well, I think disappointing, too. I thought Friday was such a positive day, really for each, particularly Richardson, and it's about stringing days together. And I just thought when you got into areas of the field where timing and anticipation is through the roof, I thought both of them struggled mightily in that area. So now the question becomes, again, what is the plan here in week 2 for those two? I mean, would you call either of them a leader at this point? Like, has there been separation? Something we can get on. Who have we liked? Who have we not liked through the first 4 days of camp? So we'll definitely hit on that. Again, Monday and Tuesday mornings, Thursday night practice, and then Saturday and Sunday. I see Gritty asking here in the YouTube chat, when will Jeff be back? It sounds like Jeff will be back tomorrow. So Jeff Rickard will join us here coming up tomorrow from Colts training camp. Mark, you have a good weekend?
Very good weekend. Parents came down, got some stuff done around the house, and then just got to hang out with the granddaughters and all that, so they had a good time there. And, boy, it was hot. So we were at a couple water parks and all that stuff to kind of cool ourselves off.
Yeah, sounds like today and tomorrow we're still going to be in that. But actually, as the week moves along, that Thursday night practice looks awesome, if I'm looking at this correctly. If that is 77 degrees, it's going to feel like a little week one high school football coming up here on Thursday.
I do have a quick question for Mark. How'd you like that Ian Happ play?
Oh, I liked it very much. Took 2 of 3 against the White Sox. That was good to see.
Are we talking baseball here in the opening segment? Come on, boy, that was not me.
Kevin has reason to puff his chest out a little bit this weekend.
I just had a kick out of that because I as the resident non-baseball knower, I saw that play and I was like, oh, Mark must love this because baseball is a contact sport for many reasons. Usually when it comes to the baseball, but I've seen Ian Happ run that guy over near third and then get the run afterwards because the interference call was pretty funny.
Can't be blocking the line, man. Clear base path. Let's go now.
Clearly,
the rules, White Sox.
Mark, a lot of Reds audio I'm sure you'll have ready for us
here
coming up. On the check down, Kelsey Mitchell went off yesterday afternoon. The bucket getter that she was outstanding in that win over the Chicago Sky. I know Chicago pretty banged up. Obviously still no Caitlin Clark for the Fever. But, James, we talked about it last week. Fever had 3 games coming out of the All-Star break. Vital, I think, especially the home game, on Thursday against the Aces, but then Sunday as well, considering the Sky and where their situation is right now. Really important to get those because they will be at home Wednesday, and then they will go on the road for 5 straight games. And, again, I don't think the Caitlin Clark return is imminent by any means. So Kelsey Mitchell up to her old tricks yesterday. That was close to a career high, wasn't it? 35, I think.
Yeah.
39 maybe, career high?
Career high 39. I believe they said on the broadcast that this was her 3rd or 4th game with 35 points in Fever history, and the only other person I believe to have a 35-point game was Caitlin Clark, and so or Caitlin 35 points, 5 assists. I'm sorry. So again, that was pretty special stuff from Kelsey Mitchell, and again, they're finding ways to win, which is all that matters at this point in time.
The best player at Colts camp so far has been who?
That's a very good question. Ooh, that's a good question. I might go Travarius Ward. He is locking up anybody and everything in his area. He looks like he deserves the money he got.
I'm nodding my head for those that can't see it on the YouTube chat. Yeah, that's exactly where I would have gone. When you hear about him talk about getting back to the all-pro level, he's been pretty adamant about that. And, I think that's where there's a little push and pull for me as we sit on this Monday morning. It's like they've made some serious investments into the secondary. When you say serious investments into the secondary, James, Lou Anarumo is a part of that. I mean, you've made a serious investment schematically to change what you did with Gus Bradley to what you're doing now with A.D. Mitchell, or with A.D. Mitchell, a guy that hasn't performed very well here early on, to what you're doing now with Lou Anarumo. And to me, that has definitely been a positive. So, I'd be curious if, some of the past quarterback play we've seen so far, would it also have some struggles with this coverage? Because, again, it just generally is stickier, more man, more press. And I think so far, especially those competitive moments, I mean, anytime there's a 50-50 moment, it seems like the Colts defense is winning that moment.
Absolutely. I mean, it's not 50-50, honestly. I think you said it last week, Kevin. It was like 70-30, 80-20 when it comes to some of these, defensive plays. And I actually think that on top of that, when you look at the quarterback play and perhaps what needs to change for them to really take another step, it's you got to throw a guy open. And that's what these guys can't do, quite frankly, and what I haven't seen them do throughout camp. When they have had chunk plays, I think it's been a very, I don't want to say easy read, but an obvious read for us. I'm saying this is a guy who doesn't play quarterback, but nevertheless, I haven't seen a throw where I'm like, man, that guy was, draped all over him. That ball couldn't be put anywhere else. A lot of it is, okay, that was a pretty good play by the quarterback, but not something where I'm looking at him like Mahomes or Lamar or Matthew Stafford or someone who's known for putting the ball in a place where, again, the guy might not be open, but because I'm the quarterback, you're open.
Yeah, throwing guys open. I don't think that is something we have seen so far, really, with either quarterback. So we now will have the full pads coming up today, offensive and defensive lines. So we'll certainly get a truer evaluation. We'll await Zaire Franklin's status as well. I think that is probably something to keep an eye on here. I said it Friday, and so far they had 2 practices and nothing too crazy here. But, James, it's easily the healthiest first week of training camp I've ever seen.
Absolutely. Again, you look around the rest of the league, I would argue or venture to argue that they are one of, if not the only team in the league without someone on the physically unable to perform list, which is a positive, and we'll see if others can continue to make progress. I know Zaire Franklin's been doing some individual work off to the side throughout some of these practices throughout that first week of training camp. Can he get out there at some point this week?
And just to remind everybody from a not only attendance standpoint, but a little bit of payment standpoint, if you're coming out here to Grand Park, these first 2 practices of the week, those remain in the free category for attendance. If you are coming Thursday, I think I have this right. I believe 18 and older, it's $5. 17 and under, still free. You do have to pay for parking. So when they have these morning weekday practices, Monday and Tuesday, you're still in the free boat. Yes, I think it's like $5 for parking. Thursday, you will pay for actual admittance into the building here, if you will. But again, 17 and under are free. Mark, are you guys back to school yet? I feel like you said like late July.
Wednesday. Tonight is meet the teacher, drop off the school supplies, but Wednesday's the first day.
I mean, that's kind of sick in a negative way.
It's definitely weird.
Like, I mean, what are we,
for
like?
sure.
You can't be going back in July.
I know.
I mean, we're Monday. We're August 4th. It's not like it's anything different. You know, it's not like it's that different. But
That's still a little
just
better.
the fact that like when you walk into the classroom, the calendar says July.
I know.
Yeah.
It's weird. I
That's-
remember when I
that
saw
should
that
be a
on the
sin.
school year calendar. I'm like, wait, July 30th? That can't be right. No.
Do
It's
you like
correct.
the year round, Mark?
Well, I think the girls are ready to go. I think Ashley's ready to get them back into school. They've been a bit crazy, so I think she's like, I don't mind it so much now. But yeah, it's definitely odd. It's a shock to the system. I know I wouldn't have liked it as a kid, but they don't really know any better because they've never had it where they
Sure.
go back mid-August or anything like that.
So, again, if you've got kids and they are still out of school, hopefully that's everybody else. Hopefully the earliest is July 30th. Couldn't encourage more coming out here. Are we hour 15 today, James? Are we 11:15?
I can check for you real quick, but I do know it's over the hour that we had to start last week. So, first padded practice is going to get a little steamy.
Yeah, and again, Monday and Tuesday morning, Thursday, the true night practice, 8 o'clock start time
Yes,
there.
hour 15 today.
Hour and 15 today, Saturday and Sunday right here at Grand Park. And then they are off to Baltimore for a joint practice. And 1 week from Thursday, they will play a preseason football game. I'm Kevin Bowen, James Boyd, the other voice you're hearing here in Westfield. Again, thank you to Cam, on-site engineer. He's been outstanding here in our stay in Westfield. Mark Dykton back in studio. Jeff Rickard back tomorrow. It is the Fan Morning Show right here, 93.5, 107.5, The Fan.
And 107.5 The Fan.
All right, looks like the skies are clearing here in Westfield. 10 a.m. the start time. Full pads on for the Colts morning practice today and tomorrow before the night practice on Thursday. Some fireworks, literally, post-practice coming up here on Thursday.
Will they be in the Indiana Knights helmets at least?
Ooh, I could get behind that. I kind of like those Indiana Knights uniforms, but I'm usually a sucker for the alternate unis. Let's begin over at 16th in Georgetown. Overtime in NASCAR always makes me a little stressful here, but Bubba Wallace gets it done yesterday. I thought the emotion really, really cool. I thought him and his son post-race, that was an awesome scene on the Yard of Bricks there as Bubba Wallace ends a very long winless drought for him and I guess clinches a spot in the playoffs. I know nothing about the NASCAR and the playoffs. Kyle Larson was your runner-up. I saw Catherine Lake finish top 20. Unfortunately, Chase Briscoe's start from the pole did not go great for him. So shout out to Bubba Wallace getting it done. And out in Laguna Seca, it was Alex Palou, win number 8
About time.
on the year. They flashed up a graphic late in that. I actually might have been after the race. It said average finish at Laguna Seca in his career is 1.6.
Okay, that's crazy. It's like a great ERA in baseball.
I'm like, what? I mean, what? You can't finish 0. You can't finish negative. Alex Palou's unbelievable season continues. Christian Lundgaard's had a nice year, 5 podium finishes. The runner-up, Colton Herta, third there. And James Boyd, let's go up to the Windy City. It was the Fever behind a huge, huge scoring output from, honestly, a banged-up Kelsey Mitchell. There are a couple times in that game I'm like, wait a minute. Is she about ready to check out for a little bit here? But she gutted it out, and just incredible by one of the best scorers in the WNBA.
Yeah, I'm looking right now. She is 1, 2, 3, 4. She has 4 of the top 5 scoring outputs from Fever players in the franchise's history. Caitlin Clark being the other one, tied with her at 35 points. So, yeah, Kelsey Mitchell can light it up. And I asked the question yesterday on Twitter, can she or should she have her jersey in the rafters someday? I'm not sure if the winning aspect will certainly play a factor in that, but she is someone who should go down in franchise history for sure.
Oh, yeah, that's a big question. But, yeah, she's the best scorer, pure scorer probably in franchise history.
Absolutely.
So 7 to 10, I believe she was from behind the arc. Again, very important for the Fever to get that one. The Chicago Sky really banged up. Home Wednesday with the Mercury, and then on the road for 5 in a row. And we'll see if Caitlin Clark gets back to practice at all this week. Mark Dykton, there's no hotter team in baseball, so go ahead and play the audio. I know I've been thinking about it all weekend long. I'm sure you were up late last night thinking about a Reds mashup, so I will leave the floor to you.
Don't look now, but here come the Red Legs.
Thank you, Mark.
That's what you get. That's it.
Thank you.
That's it?
Is that not going to happen at 8:20 and 9:20 either?
Oh, maybe. I'll play it again, maybe. Got to be on your best behavior, though.
Your Cubs got a big one coming up?
Oh, yeah. Big 3-game series. Joel Erickson joining us at 9, and he and I are going to be fighting, I think, later because it is a big 3-game series. Cubs, Brewers, big one, big one, big one tonight.
Where are the standings right now?
I believe they're tied, if I'm not mistaken. I think because the Brewers won and the Cubs won yesterday, so I think they're tied.
6 back.
Let's see. Cubs,
I know the
Cubs
Reds
and Brewers
are 1
tied
back
at
of the wild
62 and
card.
43. Reds 6.5 games back of both teams.
Boy, that is big time here coming up in the Central here. Gosh, I mean, it's been a while probably since the NL Central winner has the best team in the NL, but right now, 1-game lead or a half-game lead over the Mets. What else from this weekend? Boy, did you guys watch? I mean, again, I'm really grasping at straws here. James Boyd, I saw your tweet and said you were watching a movie last night, so maybe not. But the TBT had a wild finish last night.
Yeah.
So Fail Harder is this team that's, again, made up of a lot of, like, I guess lower-level Indianapolis prospects from a collegiate standpoint. A lot of UIndy flavor on that roster. Darius Adams. So, again, let's start here. We do the Elam ending in the TBT, and so they're
Which
getting
in English terms is
there's a target score. You stop keeping track of time about midway, a little past midway in the fourth quarter, and it's like playing a pickup game. You've got to get to 11. You've got to get to 21, whatever your pickup game is. So I want to say it was 86-66. They were down when the target score was set at 94. So the other team needed 8 points, and they needed 28 points to get to the target score, and Fail Harder came back. They probably had, 5 possessions with a chance to win the game. Literally win the game. It was some of the best and worst basketball you've ever seen by both teams in trying to get to that 94th point. Unfortunately for them, on an offensive rebound putback, they did not get to that level. But Darius Adams was incredible for UND.
I believe he scored like 44.
UND, I should say. Yeah, he was.
Jeez.
And there were probably times where it was like, they were trying to play hero ball with him. It's like, man, if you could run just a semblance of offense, maybe that would help. But they bow out in the quarterfinal round from yesterday. Anything else on the weekend front for either of you two?
I want to give a shout-out to the Fever's new signed player. Is it Chloe Bibby?
Any relation to Mike? That was my first thought.
Well, I was thinking she was in Chicago. I was thinking she was in Chicago, so it's in relation to Lil Bibby, the rapper. But no, I don't think that is a relation. But she came off the bench, I thought, yesterday, gave him some good minutes. Obviously, the scoring helps as well. And shout out to Michaela Timpson, the rookie out of Florida State, who continues to impress.
She's really carved and earned a role. With the DeWanna Bonner situation playing out, they've kind of needed someone else. And I think she's kind of fit that role. I thought she was really good yesterday.
She's so athletic.
Off the bench for her. And that's just important, I think, for the it's not like you can just do the 1-year song and dance they've done with a lot of these guys here, or a lot of these girls here this coming season. All right, on the other side, what have we liked, what have we not liked so far from Colts training camp? How do you envision week 2 with a whole lot of full padded sessions coming at you? We will hit it hard with Colts training camp on the other side. It's Kevin Bowen and James Boyd live here in Westfield.
You're listening to the Fan Morning Show on Sports Radio 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Well, it's on the agenda, I think, tonight for the Bowen squad to watch a little Happy Gilmore 2. We got about 5 minutes into it over the weekend. I thought to myself, you know what? No, I don't even want to watch it. Can't get distracted. Need the kids in bed to get my full attention here. Mark Dykton, have you consumed Happy Gilmore 2?
Yep, we watched it Saturday night, and I liked it. I know a lot of people are saying, well, this and that. I'm like, it's Happy Gilmore 2. I don't know. This isn't like Marvel Universe. I don't know where expectations are here, but it's silly. It's ridiculous.
It's not Star Wars is what you're saying?
No, there's obviously some very absurd moments in it, but I liked it. I liked all the cameos. I thought it was a very enjoyable 2 hours. It was very enjoyable. I think you will like it with all the golf cameos. There are a million of them. And there is a bit of a knock at Live Golf as kind of the main storyline, which I think you will also very much enjoy.
I'm getting a little feeling in between the legs right now here as Mark Dykton.
Easy. James, scoot over, get out of the way.
I know.
Live Golf just a stone's throw from us, right? Here in a couple weeks, James. I'm sure you've seen some of the marketing ads.
Yeah, so
drive across 191st Street.
I'm curious about this, Kevin. Will you just go over to Hate Watch?
I don't think
will you just boo them on the way in like the college football players during the tunnel, and you just stand on the side and go boo?
I'm like I'm in that Wendy's right off US 31 booing them as they come off the exit here. I don't think I'll be making an appearance up there. So Live Golf at Chatham Hills for those unfamiliar here in Westfield in mid-August. We are in Westfield. The skies look to be clearing, and again, a full padded practice coming up 10 a.m. today. It kind of led off the show with this, James. I don't know if you call last week like orientation or welcome week, but I think that's kind of the general feel to week 1 of training camp. You don't put the full pads on, but as we get into this week, today, tomorrow, the morning practices, Thursday, the night practice, it gets realer. And the evaluations become truer. You get deeper into the semester, if you want to continue the college analogy with that. So I am just generally looking forward to a little bit more of like, all right, day 5, day 6, day 7, that guy is still running with this unit. That guy is still dropping balls. That guy is still, all of those things I just think provide a little bit of clarity on that front. Let's begin with quarterback, and I'll keep it very simple. Through 4 days, James, do you think there's been any real separation between the two? Of course, we've seen 50-50 split so far.
No, not really, and I can actually back this up. So, according to my unofficial scorekeeping, with the help of Joel A. Erickson from Indy Star and Jake Arthur from Colts SI and Locked On Colts, Jones is 23 of 41 passing through the first 4 practices. This is 11-on-11 work, by the way. So, 23 of 41 passing, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. And then Richardson is 19 of 43 with 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, and they both have thrown a pick in 7-on-7. So, not exactly going to feel good about those numbers, especially when Kevin, you've covered enough training camps to know that usually the offense is supposed to have the upper hand. You're supposed to be able to generate, completions and things like that because you're not able to hit. You're not able to actually have real pressure and things like that. So, to me, I think that is kind of alarming to see the completion percentage that low for both, especially for Daniel Jones, who's supposed to be the efficient guy. I mean, 23 of 41, and that's not something that's going to move me.
You think Ty would go to Richardson?
Yes, I actually wrote that this morning in The Athletic. I had to do a piece on my stock risers and stock fallers.
Because he was drafted 4th overall or because of the run element he brings to the game that is not fully seen out here?
I think it's both. Ty goes to the runner, literally. So, in my opinion, there's no incentive to start a 28-year-old Daniel Jones on a 1-year deal over the 23-year-old Richardson, who is your highest drafted player since Andrew Luck, unless Daniel Jones is so much better. And as I wrote my piece this morning for The Athletic, again, we haven't seen any separation, Kevin. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the only day where I felt like one quarterback defensively outplayed the other was Friday.
Yeah.
I thought Anthony was better than Daniel Jones clearly on Friday, but even then, Saturday comes and they both kind of struggled. So for Daniel Jones to be in this position, you don't have the luxury of being the guy who's been here, of being the high drafted pick, of being sort of like our own. You're the new guy, and to come in as a new guy and win the job, you have to take that job. I don't think he's taken anything so far.
Blame it on me being the son of 2 teachers. Blame it on Mark's kids going back to school on Wednesday. The teaching analogy, the school analogy is kind of fresh in my brain right now. The Anthony Richardson thought for me through 4 days, James, he used to not show up to class, and now he's at least showing up to class. I don't know if I'm really supposed to pat him on the back for that.
I guess expand a little bit. What do you mean by that?
I don't think we've seen the egregious misses, particularly early in practice. For those that watch, the routes versus air, the individual periods, I can remember certainly as a rookie and even last year, you would have, I would say, probably 4 to 5 balls almost every practice where Richardson would just ground ball it, he'd airmail it, he'd hit this net behind the goalpost right here, and I feel like that number has shrunk a little bit. Now, again, to me, when I use the analogy, it's like, wait, the kid who used to just snooze the alarm all semester, and now he shows up once every 3 days to class, you're complimenting him? I want to make it clear. I don't think when I say it out loud, I'm kind of like, should I have even said that out loud? Does it feel like I'm just is that a real compliment? I did think Steichen's comments post-practice Saturday did stand out a little bit. Generally just asked about Richardson through the first 4 days, and he mentioned that he feels like he's improved from operationally at the line of scrimmage. And Shane was pretty quick with that answer. And there's been times where I feel like we've asked, particularly Jim Bob Cooter, about Richardson, and you ask him to describe Richardson's performance, and it's 2 minutes of you listen back to the answer, you're like, wait, you said nothing there.
Yeah.
Shane said something specific and something that I think is important to those coaches. Can you get to the line of scrimmage, and can you handle it in the way and the fashion that we want to? So is that a positive for Richardson as well? Again, Saturday's practice I thought was just such a bummer because Friday he had taken a step in the right direction. Now the question is, can you string it together? Can you do it for a second day? And in an area of the field where quarterbacks get paid the big bucks, if you can all of a sudden turn 3 points into 7 points in the red zone, and both guys, if you can show something there, I think that's a key evaluation point, and both of them just were, frankly, awful.
Yeah, I'll push back there, Kevin. I'm not reading too much into he's operationally better. He should be. It's his 3rd year in this offense.
But Shane doesn't typically say that. And again,
That's
I know I'm
true,
getting into the weeds
and I'll
with
give him
Shane
some credit
words.
for that. But at the same time, I'm like, all right, this is about as blunt as I can put it. If you ask some of the better quarterbacks in the NFL, if you ask their coaches, oh, what have you seen from them throughout training camp? What have you seen from them after this game, whatever? And they bring up, oh, he did the things right operationally. You're like, what? So if that's where we're at with the quarterback discussion, which it appears we are, then I guess we can count that as a positive. But dang, I'm like, you're 3 years in, and if that's what you're looking at in year 3,
sure. Again,
I don't
it's
feel
like
very
showing up to
encouraged about it.
class.
Yeah, so I think that analogy actually kind of fits because, as you know, as I've told you, and it probably irritates you that I did show up late to class quite often in college. And the one time I needed to show up on time was finals day, and the teacher told me, if you come late, you will not take this exam. And I showed up on time that day. He's like, oh, so you can. So obviously Anthony Richardson can do it. He is doing it. But, man, I just feel like I can't necessarily feel great about that or even feel good about it, really, because you should be doing those things. And, yes, we'll give you credit for it, but, I don't want to hear that same response, I guess, going forward.
You think 50-50 split will continue all this week?
I think so. I mean, I see no reason as to why one player will be more deserving of these splits over another, especially without having the live in-game reps. Now, perhaps that changes after you go into a joint practice and you see some live bodies, or the game, the preseason opener in Baltimore, maybe you see a little bit more there. But right now, I cannot sit here and tell you, oh, this is why Daniel Jones deserves more snaps. This is why Anthony Richardson deserves more snaps. Honestly, it has been versus when it comes to quarterback play.
I don't think the others around the quarterbacks have helped them either. I think generally the offense is just false starts, drops. Michael Pittman Jr. said, something to the effect of, hey, we've got to pick it up. And you mentioned it's kind of set up for the offense to be better. You got some Colts players and coaches, well, the defense usually has the upper hand early in camp. I'm like, wait a minute, you're installing a new defense without the leading communicator. Should you really have the upper hand? Because they clearly have.
Yeah.
They clearly have been the better unit. And I guess if we could transition a little bit, that's, to me, where the biggest positive has been. It's been that secondary. And Ward and Bynum have been playmakers.
Yeah.
And Justin Wally, I'd say Wally more from he's getting the reps. I don't know if Wally's had as active of a camp so far as Ward and Bynum, for example,
right,
in the playmaking department. But even, it's a little thing, but, I know Jalen Jones is a little bit lower on the depth chart, but he had a really good Friday practice out here when he got more starting run. And I do think Anarumo's willingness to be stickier, to want to play a little bit more press man, I do think that has been seen. Where I'm torn on it, James, is just, does it look so impressive because they're going up against a passing offense that everybody thinks will be one of the worst in the NFL?
It's probably a little bit of both, honestly, because when we were watching this Saturday practice, I was thinking, oh, man, this is a run-first team if I've ever seen one, right? And you really cannot test those guys. And as I mentioned earlier, when you have a quarterback that can perhaps throw you open, then that's how you beat guys like Ward or Bynum. But when they're in position, there's just no chance. And even just the little margins, for example, I can't remember if this might have been Friday when they did one-on-one drills, and Anthony tried to test Javarius Ward, who was matched up against Michael Pittman Jr., and you would think that's, CB1 against wide receiver 1. And Anthony threw the ball deep. It was a decent ball, but it probably should have been a little more outside back shoulder. It drifted back inside, and that, that foot of distance turned to an interception for Javarius Ward. And he's like, well, if you're going to beat me, you got to really beat me. You can't give me an opportunity to get my hands on the ball, get my head around to the football. So moments like that is where I see the biggest difference in that secondary is the margins are just that much smaller for an offensive player to make a great play or make a mistake.
Yeah, I honestly can't recall a start to Colts camp where the defense has gotten their hands on this many balls, has disrupted to the nature that they have had. Now, again, there's a little bit of push and pull with that, but I do think that has to be acknowledged. Again, we are live here at Colts training camp, 10 a.m. the start time from Grand Park. Joel A. Erickson going to join us here at 9 o'clock. Mark Dykton, I had a buddy text me to say that Scotty Scheffler was low-key funny in Happy Gilmore, too. I can't imagine that. Was he?
I think he was of all the cameos, I think he was the highlight of the movie, to be quite honest.
Oh, really?
I don't even want to spoil what the jokes are, but he was actually very funny. I was shocked.
I would not have thought that at all.
No, I know. I was like, because even my wife is like, he always seems kind of dull. I'm like, he is dull. He was very funny in this one. They actually got him out of his shell a little bit. He was able to poke fun at himself and all that. It was quite funny.
Good for Scotty on that front.
I think you'll like it.
We'll get back.
I really do. I think you'll like it.
Okay, good. We'll get back Colts Convo here in just a minute. But again, yesterday afternoon, the keys to the game for the Indiana Fever brought to you by Hubler Automotive Group. Check out your next car at drivehubler.com. Indiana's giant automotive group. James, I hate to simple it down to just one player, but that was Kelsey Mitchell just saying, hey, guys, give me the damn ball and watch me bucket get. And that's exactly what she did. The Sky made a late run there. And I don't know if it was real pressure, but it got somewhat close. But Kelsey Mitchell, 35 points yesterday as the Fever beat the Sky.
Yeah, I've been watching her get buckets for a long time. I remember actually writing a story with her in it because she went to Ohio State, and I covered Illinois women's basketball for a while there, and she was great back then too. I believe she's top 5 in NCAA scoring, so she's been scoring all her life, and you saw, why she's so elite yesterday with the shot making, the three-point making, and really on top of that, Kevin, when she's efficient as a scorer, oh, my gosh, she's unstoppable.
Yeah, 7 of 10 from 3. Yeah, it's funny you bring up her college resume. It's like anytime they showed the Caitlin Clark graphics, she was on it.
Yeah.
And little did we know, watching Caitlin Clark at Iowa, that they'd be playing together. But hell of a career at Ohio State. Again, the Fever will play coming up on Wednesday. One NFL item I wanted to get to league-wide, and again, I don't know if this is going to spur a whole lot of action with the Colts, but, we touched on it definitely on Friday's show. Bernard Ryman joining Jake last Thursday and shared that, the Colts and his representation were pretty far off from a numerical standpoint on a contract extension. And at some point he mentioned that he felt like the Colts, positional value, they didn't necessarily look at it in the same light that his team did. Now, sometimes with contract extensions for various players, it takes other guys to kind of set the market, if you will, around the league. We saw yesterday Rashawn Slater, former top 10 pick of the Chargers, he signed, yes, you are doing the money sign right now, a 4-year deal, reportedly $114 million with $92 million guaranteed. So you're talking, north of what, 25, 27 annually for Slater. I think the Ryman thought is north of 20. I don't think it's necessarily at that number. But again, that guarantee of $92 million, I am curious I don't think Ryman is Slater, to be clear.
No.
But I am curious, does that help define a little bit of the market for guys playing left tackle getting their contract extensions?
I do think it'll define it a bit, mainly because you have like this high bar to say, okay, well, you're not this guy, but if I'm 2/3 of whatever he produces, does that mean I get, $40, $50, $60 million guaranteed on my next deal, whatever the case may be? I believe when Bernhard Raimann gets his deal done, and this isn't some hot take, he'll probably be a top 10 paid left tackle or offensive tackle in the NFL, just given, his age and his play. And, again, he isn't a star, but he's a very good player, which at that position is still good enough to get you very handsomely paid. So I'm curious to see how it all shakes out. And honestly, that is, again, the one decision I think is a no-brainer for the Colts when it comes to personnel, whether it's players, coaches, GMs, whatever. Bring that guy back for the foreseeable future, because you can't pass up on a guy when you hit on a left tackle. You can't pass up on that. And honestly, just looking at some of the dollar signs on that deal you just talked about, what is the first thing you would do, you guys, Mark and Kevin? What would you do if you, well, not first thing, because I know people probably pay the house off, retire your parents, whatever. What's the first dumb thing you would do if you had enough money like that? $92 million guaranteed. What are you buying that's like, all right, I don't need this, but I surely want it?
I think I'd get a blue Powerade machine in my house.
Okay.
Mountain Berry.
Yeah.
Say it again.
Mountain Berry.
Yes.
Yeah. And I don't know. So I've brought up blue Powerade before on the show, and I've had a lot of people say there's way too much sugar in there. Get the Powerade Zero. Okay, fine. If I need to start worrying about my health, clearly my waistline would tell you otherwise. Then that. But yeah, that would be my first big. Hey, what do you got in your man cave? Oh, I got this beer on tap. Oh man, have you seen my whiskey bar? Well, yeah, that's all fine and well. Yeah, I would like that as well. But boy, and I need that Powerade machine today with how hot it's about to be.
Yeah.
So that's where I'd go.
Mark, how about you?
There's so many things I could do. Jeez, the blue Powerade, that is a random eccentric. How about a Taco Bell in my house? I want to be like Devontae Adams.
Oh, man. Well, now you're talking about waistlines, man. Jeez. Man. You have to be shopping at the tall and big store here.
I want a cheesy gordita crunch at 3 in the morning. Damn it, I'm getting it.
Gotcha. Well, I think I would probably never cook again myself. I mean,
we're all in the food and beverage
I would definitely,
realm.
retire the Dino Nuggets for sure. Maybe get some hibachi involved in there. I love my hibachi for several reasons.
Sure.
So maybe that's what I would do. I see Evan Sherrill. Shout out to the ever great smelling Evan Sherrill from Cluster Truck. He's saying he would get a lake house with a par 3 course on his property.
Ooh,
now that does sound amazing. Yeah. That sounds good.
Yeah. The whole backyard par 3 course sounds unreal. Yeah, I mean, that would be second on the list, but, man, I love me some blue Powerade. Gosh, I love me some blue Powerade. At 10 a.m. today, full pads on. We'll get to what we think of Tyler Warren so far, A.D. Mitchell. We have to give some thoughts on what he has done here through the first 4 days of camp. Another item to note, and, again, this might be a little bit more gray area, and Shane Steichen tried to, I don't know, it was kind of odd what, him throwing the pick to Bynum on Saturday and all that. But we'll see about the physicality of training camp. Now that the full pads are on, what does that look like? I mean, Chris Ballard and Shane Steichen have made it very clear that they want to see a more physical training camp. Now, when you ask them directly about that, and again, there are a lot of CBA rules that restrict you from, turning this into 1973 NFL films, Oklahoma drills for 3 hours. Exactly what will that be? Is it and Shane again tried to do this Saturday, hey, sudden change, all of a sudden a turnover's happened. Are you going to take advantage of that? Shane did mention last week, James, that some of these amped up physicality moments will include longer full drive periods.
Yeah.
So do we get the starting offense out here in this heat for 9, 10 play drives?
Yep.
Because I think a worrisome thing I've had with this offense so far, drops, false starts, just overall sloppiness from the offense. Not just the two quarterbacks misfiring per se, but overall sloppiness. That to me is 98-degree mistakes with the full pads on.
Yeah.
Well, yes, it's been 98 a couple days, but the full pads haven't been on. So it's when you get into more of a grind and it's real and, you're frankly just drained mentally and physically.
Well, those are the fourth quarters. Those are the
right.
got to have
we
moments.
See more of that.
Yeah.
That is a little concerning for me in that realm. I mean, Tony Sperano had a moment Friday during practice. I mean, he was irate with the amount of false starts.
And afterward, he was still irate.
Yeah, and we're talking starters.
Yeah.
So that is something to keep an eye on today.
Yeah, I can't remember if it was you or Steven or somebody threw the question at him and was like, hey, what have you thought about the false starts? Is there a reason for it? Is it acclimation? He was like, no, there's never a reason for it. We got to be better. And I actually like the no-nonsense approach to it because he's like, if we can't get this right now, when are we ever going to get it right, especially when we know those 5 yards, those 10 yards, they add up if you continue to have those operational issues up front.
Greg asked over-under number of plays before Michael Pittman and Zaire Franklin throw hands today. I believe at one point Zaire Franklin did say over the summer he will fight Michael Pittman Jr. first.
Yes.
Now, unfortunately, we've yet to see Zaire Franklin out here.
I've heard him, though.
In a practice set. Yeah, you can definitely hear him, and he might just honestly get in Pitt's face today, even if he's not out here practicing. That is kind of another Week 2 storyline. Randomly, if you're out here, I think Joe Bocci, number 48, has had a nice camp.
Yes.
Some of these linebackers that are a little bit more obscure, Cameron Grown, the LC product, he's gotten some decent clock here as well. And I'm shocked, Mark Dykton, that you did not go here. Wes chiming in. Let's be honest, Mark is installing a professional wrestling ring in his house.
Is he going to have like an ICU unit, next door?
Well, he might need the ICU unit for the Taco Bell in his house.
Oh, that too.
Round the clock doctor is going to happen. Round the clock doctor.
Okay, all right.
Walk up ramp and all. Mark Dykton,
sure.
Wes is throwing in here for your wrestling.
Attitude Era Videotron. We can have matches. We can have a giant big screen to watch pay-per-views. You're right. I had gun to my head, so I just think on my feet, but wrestling ring is, if that's not purchase number 1, that's purchase number 2.
I feel like Ashley will look at you and be like, yep, this is who I married. This is who I chose, and just laugh.
Like, just remember, I love this guy. Remember that.
Yep.
You'll have to tell yourself in the mirror.
Right, for all his faults, this is why I do love Mark Dykton right here. We are live here in Westfield. They are starting to assemble the practice field with all the various equipment that is necessary to run NFL practice. And today, again, the full pads will go 75 minutes. That's the schedule today, 10 a.m. to 11:15. For those that are just waking up on this Monday morning, you'll probably walk outside, definitely see some overnight rain lingering on the grass and on the streets, but it looks like the skies are clearing a bit here for the first full padded practice of training camp. What has been the report so far on Tyler Warren? How about year number 2 for A.D. Mitchell? We got some thoughts. We'll throw it your way coming up next. This is the Fan Morning Show, 93.5, 107.5 The Fan.
You're listening to the Fan Morning Show on Sports Radio 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
All right, 8 o'clock hour here in Westfield. The Fan Morning Show will call Westfield home today and tomorrow, and that will actually be it for us the rest of training camp. The schedule does start to get a little bit more night-heavy, even some afternoon practices. And, James, I don't remember the last time the Colts have done this. You know, their first preseason game is a week from Thursday on the road in Baltimore. That means that their first joint practice will be on the road a week from tomorrow, actually, Tuesday, down there in Baltimore. You will be at that joint practice, so you'll be out for a couple days early next week. But that means the training camp cadence you usually are used to here at Grand Park of like pretty much 3, maybe a little bit 4 straight weeks of practice gets chopped up.
Yep.
So basically next week you don't have anything here at Grand Park Monday through Friday. It's just the Saturday and Sunday practices each of the next 2 weeks. So for people working normal 9-to-5s during the week, that's good news that want to come out here and watch on the weekends. For those that do enjoy the weekday practices, you better do it now because the schedule really starts to drop off.
Exactly. Just not a lot of opportunities left. So get out here, run the 40 like I did. Don't pull your hamstring. You know, certainly stretch beforehand. And there's some other activities as well. I do like to walk around Colt City, as they call it, before practice some days or afterwards, just because it is a good vibe. And you get to see the excitement of the fan base. And that always kind of reminds me that football season is here. When I see a couple of fans decked out in, like, the face paint or the jerseys or even jerseys of old, you know, seeing the Andrew Luck jerseys. I saw a Shaq Leonard jersey the other day as well. And some older jerseys, Reggie Wayne, still a popular one as well. So that's always good vibes.
Yeah, I am always reminded about how sick it is when the Hall of Fame game starts. That's when I'm like, oh my gosh, is it about ready to be here?
That's this week.
I think for me it's when put it like that, Mark, it's certainly
Hall of Fame game.
Dang, for real?
Guys,
who's in it?
The Hall of Fame game is it's Thursday.
Wow.
So when the
Chargers
Colts
and
have their
somebody.
night Chargers Lions, when the Colts have their night practice coming up on Thursday night at 8 o'clock in Canton, Ohio, will be Chargers versus Lions.
Yeah, we've got an NFL game in July. So we have school in July and NFL football in July.
Yeah, that doesn't sit right with me.
That's crazy.
I just don't have any clout to do anything about it, but that just doesn't sit right with me. Colts at Ravens coming up a week from Thursday. James Boyd, describe the A.D. Mitchell experience 4 days into the 2025 training camp.
Bad. It hasn't been good. I think that he's been a disappointment so far throughout the first week of training camp. Now, that's not to say he can't turn it around. It is early, but for someone who struggled a lot last year, you want to see him take a step forward. I thought he actually looked pretty good in the spring. You know, made some plays and certainly let us know that he made some plays. But throughout training camp so far, I believe he has 4 drops through 4 practices, and he had 2 drops this past Saturday on back-to-back plays in 11-on-11 drills. Now, I'm not counting every drop from every player in the individual periods or one-on-ones, whatever. But for team stuff, I'm like, okay, I think that's a little more important to, you know, track or note. And to see him kind of struggle, it is disheartening, and it kind of makes you question, like, okay, where's your head at? Because a lot of that stuff to this point, I mean, I would think it's mental. They can't even hit you. So why are you dropping the ball?
I want you to share the anecdote that you wrote in your latest piece on The Athletic here in just a second. But, yeah, I would summarize A.D. Mitchell's experience so far here at camp as just continuing to be unreliable.
Yeah.
And I would also add, I would say continuing to be arguably the most frustrating Colt. Because, James, once again, the man gets open. Like, it's not like, I mean, it's not like he's not creating separation, but when you target him, it's like me throwing the Nerf ball with Max Bowen right now. It's like, well, I don't know. Hopefully his hands will grasp it against his body.
Yeah.
But that's really the only hope he catches it. And with Mitchell, it's just an unreliability for that play to be a completion. And I know that might sound like kind of odd to say, but it's got to be maddening for this coaching staff. I'd argue he might be the most frustrating player on the roster. Maybe not named Richardson, but
That's a fair assessment.
Because you do believe and know there's talent. Obviously, collegiately, he performed majorly on the biggest stage. But, you know, I've always thought this about his college resume. The stat out there, which was a very impressive stat, he played in 5 college football playoff games. and he scored a touchdown in each of those 5 games. I mean, that is a big-time stage, big-time player delivering. But I believe if you take it a step further, in those 5 games, he started his career at Georgia. Actually, I think he caught a touchdown here at Lucas Oil, if I'm not mistaken, in the national title game, and then transferred to Texas. If you looked at those 5 games, James, I want to say total in those games, he had 8 catches. So he had 5 touchdowns, but only 3 other catches in the 5 games. And I say that to bring up, like, that to me probably is an indicator of the inconsistency to him. Of like, yeah, you know, there might be a play or two of flash, but there's just largely an unreliability element to him. Now, of course, the Colts in the NFL world thought, you know what, if he shows those flashes, it's our job to tap more into those flashes, provide consistency and all of that. So if you don't mind, please share that anecdote, what you saw Saturday during practice.
Yeah, so this was during a one-on-one drill. Daniel Jones was the quarterback. A.D. Mitchell had beaten Jalen Jones to the back pylon in this one-on-one drill and obviously wanted to score. And when Daniel Jones threw the ball, it was a little bit too far inside. And so Jalen Jones jumped over it, slapped the ball down, and A.D. Mitchell, after the play, rips his helmet off. He's frustrated, and he very loudly says, "Throw that bleep outside." And as he walks back to the offense in the huddle, you can tell he's, you know, just not feeling the quarterback play in that particular moment. But in my mind, I'm like, you are certainly one to talk, because when 11-on-11 came up, Daniel Jones hits him in stride in the flat, drops it. The very next play, Kevin, he comes right back to him on a slant, drops that too. Back-to-back plays. Now, Daniel Jones did connect with him a few plays later for a big gain.
And following that play, James, you know, there were some murmurs up there.
Oh, yes.
That was one of the louder, like, are you bleeping kidding me moments.
And I think that was also probably a reflection of how that coaching staff or that front office was feeling. Now, obviously, they can't be as outward with their emotions, but, yeah, that was a low moment. There was an audible groan from the crowd, like, what are you doing? Because, again, in 11-on-11, that's all people are watching is the team periods. Now, one-on-one, you might have a play that kind of goes off the radar a little bit because there's so much going on. But 11-on-11, everyone's watching. Players, coaches, this is what you're supposed to do. This is the closest you're going to get to a game situation, and he's unreliable. So, again, the irony or really the audacity for him to kind of complain about the quarterback play when it's like, dude, when they do hit you with the ball, you drop it. You have no room, if you're A.D. Mitchell, to talk about the quarterback play or to be as frustrated as you seem to be when you haven't held up your end of the bargain.
Yeah, it just wasn't a good scene at all, and it hasn't been really through the first 4 days of practice. And I don't know, is that his frustration boiling over a little bit of like he knows, right? You know, he feels like he's pressing a little bit here. You know, right now, if you had me rank who's been the most impressive wideout, or, you know, what would you say about the overall wideout position through camp? James, it'd be Alec Pierce, a clear 1, and honestly 2 on the list. It's certainly not A.D. Mitchell. It's not probably Michael Pittman Jr. I don't think it's Josh Downs, and he's usually Mr. Trustworthy. I'd probably go Anthony Gould second on that list, 5th-round pick out of Oregon State 2 years ago. You know, he in all likelihood, I think, will be the punt returner this year. We'll see about kick return as well. He started with those duties last year, actually got benched at one point. But I would say he's probably been a little bit more on the reliable front than really any of those other names. And Downs, I don't overreact because Downs obviously has a past precedent of being, you know, much better, much more reliable in this league. But so far, I'd say largely the wideout group has been disappointing. Yes,
and honestly, for Alec Pierce's sake, it's like, hey, by the way, I would like to get paid. He did mention that his agency has talked to the Colts, and it sounds like he's going to have to play the season out, which for his purposes, if he looks like he's looked throughout camp so far, he should be okay. But the rest of that group, no, they have not performed to the level they should be, you know, considering what they've done in the past and also what they've brought, I guess, on paper as well. But, yeah, Alec Pierce is I believe the only wide receiver who's made any touchdown catches in 11-on-11. Now, granted, they only did red zone work this past, Saturday? So a lot of the touchdowns or whatever you're not going to get when it comes to trying to go all the way down the field. But even in those settings, he was the only one to reach the end zone when you had multiple chances to get in the end zone. And I thought even Michael Pittman Jr., uncharacteristic, he had a drop in the end zone as well. So those are all things that I'm watching and saying, yes, we could talk about the quarterback play and how it hasn't been up to par, Kevin. We knew that coming in. But on the flip side, the expectation was that the wide receiver room will be a lot better than it's been throughout the first 4 practices.
Have you guys seen these videos of Nikola Jokic and his horse?
Yes. I think it's hilarious.
This man,
Does he love basketball as much as he loves his horses?
I'm going to speak for Mark here. You know, Mark, 3 daughters. You know, I've got one and one on the way. I hope in my life, and Mark, for your girls as well, I hope they can find someone that loves them as much as Mr. Jokic loves that damn horse.
I mean, he's in tears. He's running around.
He is in tears. And these tracks, I mean, guys, he looks like he's in Bufu, Serbia.
I was going to say, it doesn't even look like it's a nice
This is not Churchill
track.
Downs.
Yeah,
this is not whatever, Belmont or, you know, wherever they run the Preakness, Pimlico or whatever it's called. I mean, this man, he loves that horse so, like I used to love my blanket growing up.
Yeah.
I mean, it is one of the more beautiful things I've seen. I've always been curious, what does Nikola Jokic do in the offseason?
Honestly, though, it's kind of endearing because he seems
1,000%
very just regular. I mean, obviously, he's a great, great basketball player, already a Hall of Famer if he retired today.
And this is not real horse racing, by the way. Like, this is
No.
like chariot style, right? I mean, is that the way to describe it?
I would think so. If you just for those who are curious, if you just Google it and look on YouTube or something during the break or something like that, you'll see what we're talking about. It's not some glamorous setup.
No.
And he's, you know, you would think he just won another championship in the NBA.
1,000%.
They actually showed a video.
I think that's more
Kevin, of his
emotional than him
celebration.
winning a championship, actually.
Yes, Mark, to your point, someone like clipped a video side by side of him winning his first championship and then winning that race with his horse yesterday or over the weekend, and the emotion is like night and day compared to the two. It is hilarious to see, but it's really cool.
Him. I absolutely love him. That is the voice of James Boyd. I am Kevin Bowen. Mark Dykton back in studio. Thank you to Cam, on-site engineer here at Grand Parks. Done a wonderful job with all of our shows here during training camp. Again, we'll be out here again tomorrow, so if you haven't stopped by, make sure you come say hey. We are on the northwest part of the 2-field complex here at Grand Park. When I say 2 fields, I mean just the Colts 2 fields. There's like a million other fields here in Westfield. And again, 10 a.m. the start time. They will go for an hour and 15 minutes today. Colts training camp. Mark, if you don't mind, let's cue up that Pascal Siakam clip from yesterday. I really only watched the end of the Brickyard 400. I'm not going to sit here and act like I was, locked in and consuming every minute of Joey Logano's blown tire and Chase Briscoe coming to the green flag. But Pascal Siakam, pace car driver yesterday, and here was the Pacers forward on what it was like to do that.
I mean, obviously, I want to, continue to insert myself in the community. This is my home now, and I'm super excited to be here. And again, I have a special bond with the state, like Indiana in general, and it's just like being able to be a part of it was awesome. And just want to continue to do good for the city, for the state, and again, this is another cool opportunity to see the people and hang out.
You know what? For a guy, James, that got traded here, and by the way, courtesy of our partners there, Wish TV. The Pascal Siakam clip, so thank you for that. But he seems to have had such just like a genuine appreciation for this city and this franchise. And again, when you get guys that are traded here,
yeah,
I don't know. I know he re-signed, but I guess I really like how he's wired. And I probably did not know that as much as I should have when he was traded here.
It sounds like it was very hard for him to leave Toronto as well, so the loyalty factor with him is very high. And the reason why I think that he has enjoyed his time here, besides the winning, of course, and getting paid, is that when I look back at the trade, I believe Masai Ujiri said he wasn't going to send Pascal somewhere that he didn't want to be initially. And so they worked together to come here to Indiana, and obviously you've seen that marriage over the last couple of years, and it's worked out very well. But it is cool to see him embrace the community. But I think, shout out to my folks at Wish TV who I enjoy interacting with. But, on the pettiness meter, you should have asked them, hey, did you have to fill in for Miles Turner because you're here now and he isn't? Or how did that work? Get a little spicy there. But, no, in all seriousness, Spicy P is loved here in this city, and rightfully so, because he's been a very good player. And he's lived up to what they've traded for, if that makes sense.
I love
6'9", right?
Yeah.
That was Chuck Pagano's reaction to, remember, you poo-pooed the Siakam trade.
Yes, I called it lukewarm.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
You did?
Yeah.
Have you changed your thoughts on that?
Oh, man.
I wanted OG Anunoby. That's who I wanted at the time.
Oh, man.
No, I think I was squarely wrong on that. I think that is in the firm wrong
That's okay.
category.
It happens.
On that front there. Siakam, did they have to do anything for the car?
I've thought about
any
that.
Adjustments? I mean, he's 6'9".
I've thought about that, and perhaps it was like an SUV, so maybe he doesn't have to, adjust it too much.
Yeah, that was an odd pace car. Now that you say that.
That's what I'm saying. I think that's why they did that, because he ain't fitting in a two-seater.
Every time I say the sky is clear, Cam, I look over my left shoulder, and I'm like, those skies don't look like they're clearing to me. We'll keep an eye on the radar. I do see some I guess I thought I saw some fans starting to line up. Gates open here at 9 o'clock. I don't know. The radar looks pretty low. Man, it's pouring on the south side. Greenwood area, Martinsville area, it is absolutely pouring right now. Again, Colts training camp underway at 10 a.m. We'll keep you posted because it does look like some showers in the state of Illinois right now, but they are putting the outdoor field together. So right now, James Boyd, I would say the indications are from the Colts they will be outdoors. Sometimes we've been out here for these practices. They've yet to make an announcement, but we haven't seen like the equipment stuff being set up, and that's usually a good indicator. So if you're planning to come out here right now at 8:14 in the morning, it definitely looks like practice will be going on.
I'm excited about it mainly because it's another day out here to see how the team perhaps progresses and also see the team in pads. Pads always make people act a little different, and so the football players always tell me, because I didn't play the game, that when the pads come on, the real dogs come out. So who's going to be a real dog today? Well, I'll have it all recapped for you on tomorrow's show for sure.
D-A-W-G.
Dog.
Yeah, Jason, thanks for bringing this up. I wanted OG to be drafted to the Pacers over TJ Leaf. Yeah, well, yeah.
Oh, pain.
Yeah, I guess you can't.
Choosing pain this morning.
You can't win them all. James, I walked into camp, position battles, quarterback, center, defensive end playing time, corner, kicker, certainly. I know we didn't have a show after Friday's practice, but that was a shaky kicker debut from Spencer Schrader and Maddox Trujillo. I assume they will kick either today or tomorrow, so we'll see if Schrader was good until 53, and then he missed both of them from 53. Maddox missed one of them shorter than that. He's the undrafted free agent. I would say right now the best battle to me has been that third corner battle. Like, I think it is Justin Wally, Javarius Ward, and Kenny Moore being the top two corners. But, like, Jalen Jones, I thought had a good Friday. And, Juju Brents, I think, has had a moment or two. And honestly, the best thing for Juju is probably that he's practiced 4 straight days.
Yeah, good point. I think Juju's fighting. I gave him some love. I believe one of my recaps the other day when I was on social media and posted a video of what happened at practice. But I don't know where he slots in that cornerback room. But it's not like he's going to lay down and not try to force the coaching staff's hand when it comes to his playing time or his opportunities, because when he has gotten them, he's flashed a little bit. So respect to him, because he's had a rough going with the injuries and things like that. I believe he's only played 11 games in 2 years since being drafted, which is rough. But then on top of that, like you said, Kevin, Jalen Jones, I don't think that he necessarily has played bad. I think he's been pretty good in real games. Last season I thought that he was fine. And then in camp he's played pretty well. So that, to me, just tells me that Justin Wally must be really, really impressing this coaching staff.
Here in the YouTube chat, they're debating Anthony Richardson right now. And Peaches says, I haven't heard anyone say he's looked terrible. Do you think that's kind of similar to my analogy of that at least he's showing up to class right now?
I guess it's like at least he's passing, maybe not getting the great grades, but he's getting degrees.
I'm not committing to any grades yet. I just said that he's showing up to class. I'm not saying what he's getting on the test yet, but I would say Anthony Richardson is showing up to class.
Well, to give you a grade so far, I'd give him a C.
I was going to say,
I'd give the other
that's an average.
Too. Like,
man, I don't know if I'd give either of them a C right now. C's average.
Would it be
fair? The Colts got average quarterback play this year.
That's a good point. Yeah, maybe not the
passing offense has been an F+.
Yeah. So for example, I was looking at it more like in the middle. Like I would say it's been a 5 on a 10-point scale, which in that case it would be failing. But yeah, to me it's just been versus like I said earlier.
Would it be fair to
not
say that
the
bar should be higher with the 4th overall pick, his third year in?
Oh, absolutely.
Unquestionably.
But you got to look at reality, too, though, Mark. I mean, how do you sort of assess the situation? And I think that's one of the questions this coaching staff and the GM Chris Ballard have to go over, because you can't grade him like a regular top 5 pick, but you probably should. I don't know.
The fact that you're saying 3 years in, he hasn't looked terrible yet. I mean, that's no kind of bar to be setting in training camp.
Could not agree more, but James is right. It's the reality of the quarterback room. Like, I mean, right now, these are the quarterbacks that are here playing for the Indianapolis Colts in 2025. So as sad as that sounds, it's the reality that you have to live in and the bed the Colts have made here. Jelani Woods update from Dan. He was curious about that.
He flashed a couple of times.
2 in a 7-on-7, but I would say right now it's an uphill battle to make the team.
Yes, for sure. And I think in that tight end room, it's Tyler Warren, Mo Alley Cox, and then the rest of them trying to figure it out behind them.
Will Mallory, he took probably the biggest hit we've seen of camp so far. That was Hunter Wohler on Friday. Yeah. That was without full pads on. That was.
Could you imagine if someone hit Tyler Warren like that?
Honestly, I was a little surprised we didn't see a fight after Wohler and Mallory. That to me was if you're on offense, you're like, dude, Hunter Wohler, you're crossing the line.
Yeah.
I thought somebody should have stepped in there. But that was my 2 cents.
Well, as someone who doesn't fight, I'm always thinking others should fight, So just not me.
Fight, as James Boyd's backing up to the back.
World star.
Joel Erickson.
How has the offensive line looked so far? So far with the against the defensive line.
Let's table that for the other side here because we have seen a little bit from a rotational standpoint. We'll save that here coming up 8:30 again. I think anytime you talk about trenches, you wait for the full pads. But there has been, I think, a couple takeaways you can have from an O-line standpoint. So we'll do that coming up on the other side. Mark Dykton, let's cue up the morning checkdown.
The Morning Checkdown on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
All right, James, opening hour. We started over there at 16th and Georgetown. Let's go up to the Windy City here for this morning checkdown, and that would be the Indiana Fever. Great start yesterday against the Chicago Sky. They held on for that win, and largely thank you to Kelsey Mitchell for that.
One of the best bucket getters in Fever history, finished with 35 points, I believe, in like 30 minutes. And so she put them on her back yesterday to get that win, and the Fever continue to stack a couple W's when it comes to that playoff positioning.
You know what? And shout out to the rookie yesterday.
Michaela Timpson.
Are we going KK? KK. Is that what she...
That's what she preferred. For radio, I'll try to give them the full name,
Michaela KK Timpson. Florida State, right?
Yes.
Very good off the bench yesterday. And
she had a rebound late that was sick.
Since the DeWanna Bonner, dramas played out, they've kind of turned to her a little bit, and I think she's really earned a key role off the bench for her. So much needed for the Fever. Wednesday, they will play the Phoenix Mercury, and then coming up, it is a 5-game road trip after that. We'll see where Caitlin Clark is from a health standpoint. The first African-American ever to win the Brickyard 400, that was Bubba Wallace yesterday, kissing the bricks. Sounded like, and again, I was just purely going off the announcers, but some unbelievable fuel drama there late in that overtime session. Kyle Larson on the restart there could not hawk down Bubba Wallace. I thought the emotion pretty cool for him and his son celebrating the Yard of Bricks afterwards there. So Bubba Wallace gets it done over there at the Brickyard. Other items of note, Brickyard related. Catherine Legg, top 20 finish for her. We've seen her race in the Indy 500, of course. Chase Briscoe, unfortunately, I think it was 17th for him. And I feel like there's another local. Joey Logano blew that tire. That was not good. And I guess Kyle Larson, the runner-up there.
It was quite the moment. I mean, it was dramatic because you make the playoffs because of that. And, again, I don't know how NASCAR works, but I would imagine that is like winning the game to get into the playoffs in the NBA or NFL, last game of the season, last chance. So exciting for him. And like you said, first black man to win at the Brickyard 400.
Alex Plow, man, that's won a whole lot this year. Title number 8. Oh.
I jumped the gun there. I jumped the gun.
Oh, gee, okay. Well, Mark, by all means, I'm not going to stop Positive Reds audio.
Don't look
Alex
now,
Plow,
but here come the Red Lakes.
We'll wait for you, Alex Plow. We will not wait for the Cincinnati Reds, the best team in baseball, the team that no one wants to face right now, the team that if the playoffs started today, they would be the favorite. They are the Big Red Machine. They are the 2001 Yankees. They are the 72 Dolphins. And I really hope they win today. After I just said all that.
Yeah, I hope that. And are they going to make a trade deadline deal? Are they going to try to go for the playoffs? Are they going to sell off their team?
No, Mark, I don't need any of that. That sounded a little bit like, yeah, I could tell where your tone was with that. I've worked with you for long enough. I know exactly where you're going with that. Reds win. Indians took 5 of 6 at home this past week, and they will be on the road here. Upcoming Cubs, what was it, 2 or 3 from the White Sox?
2 out of 3, yep.
Did the Cardinals lose, Casey Vallier? Yeah, I think they did. Yeah.
Yeah, he looks a little sad over there.
Casey Valier, Colts Radio. He's a Cardinals fan. But we got some split allegiances once Joel Erickson shows up here in a little bit. Is Joel on the phone or is he in person, Mark?
I don't know. I don't know which way he's going.
I'm going to guess that he's on the phone.
He's looking forward to that Brewers and Cubs matchup tonight, so we'll see how that all goes.
That is a big one in the NL Central. Alex Palou, where the tease was going, he dominated out at Laguna Seca. Was on the pole, led for virtually every lap. That is now win 8. I want to say 10 races is the record. We've got 3 left, I'm pretty sure. Portland, Milwaukee, and Nashville for IndyCar. Palou was flawless. Team Penske continues to have an absolutely horrific season. Shout out to Christian Lundgaard, Colton Herta on the podium there with Alex Palou out at Laguna Seca. And that pretty much covers everything. You guys see Tiger Woods' son is playing golf in West Lafayette starting tomorrow?
I did see that.
Yeah,
I thought about you. I was like, are you going to go stalk him?
Yeah, I mean, am I good? Should I head up there after practice tomorrow? 12:50 tee time. I believe that's on the Ackerman course up there. It's amazing that Purdue has 2 golf courses that are that good right across the street from each other, and 2 very different golf courses, I must say, in Campen and Ackerman. But yes, this is the Junior PGA Championship, so it is a big deal. I would say on the Junior PGA or on the Junior golf calendar, I would definitely call this a top 3 or 4 event out there. So if Charlie Woods is teeing off, does that mean we've got a Tiger PJ into the West Lafayette Airport at some point?
He's not going to be in commercial, that's for sure. So perhaps. He seems to really love it.
And let me be very clear here. I said PJ with Tiger Woods because with him, you
absolutely.
got to make sure the acronyms are spot on there. So.
Oh, Lord.
James is scratching his head right now.
Oh, man.
That probably wasn't my best effort there. So we'll see if Tiger makes an appearance there as Charlie Woods playing golf up there at the beautiful Ackerman and Campen golf courses in West Lafayette. All right, on the side, Mark Dykton, want to know about the O-line? What have we seen so far? We'll throw that at you. How is Tyler Warren been at camp? We'll hit on that as well. Kevin Bowe and James Boyd live in Westfield.
You're listening to the Fan Morning Show on Sports Radio 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Did I just hear there's going to be a Jason Derulo concert at Live Golf? Honestly, that might be the only thing that gets me to go to Live Golf is hearing Jason Derulo. I feel like I'm going to be back in college here with a little.
Man,
Jason Derulo.
I was gonna say, is this all throwbacks? Does he have new music? If Jason Derulo's playing new music, I don't necessarily want to hear that.
No, I want the bangers, man.
I want the bangers.
I want the bangers, and that'll get James Boyd and I dancing like we were last week when the rhythm I thought was through the roof, and my wife thought I was starting a lawnmower. We'll see. The lawnmower should be out here shortly. Again, radar looking a little dicier out in like Illinois in that area, but they are definitely setting up like we will be outdoors here for a training camp practice that will include the debut of full pads in 2025 for the Colts. 10 a.m. to 11:15. That is upcoming. For the Indianapolis Colts, it's a morning practice today and tomorrow, and then the true night session Thursday, 8 to 10 p.m. for that one.
Some news from the Colts
fireworks
here.
Afterwards. Our news is what?
We have some news from the Colts. They say that they have signed free agent defensive tackle Josh Tupou and placed offensive tackle Jack Wilson on IR. And if you remember, Kevin, I believe Steichen told us that Jack Wilson had a pectoral injury, and that is never good to hear. So there's your first major injury of training camp.
Jack Wilson, the largest man on the roster, 6'11", 310 pounds. He also helped instigate our first scuffle. I don't think I'll call it a fight. Our first scuffle here of training camp. Him and Isaiah Land got into it. Boy, this Tupou dude is huge. 6'3", 340. Of note, he played for the Cincinnati Bengals from 2017 to 2023. And what does that mean? That means Lou Anarumo connection. So you're always curious when defensive personnel moves happen and they involve personnel with the old defensive coordinator. Mm-hmm. So this is not just a random training camp move for me. This is something that Tupou is, if I'm saying that right, he is 6'3" and 340 pounds. So he is a big ol' hog molly in the middle of the defensive line. 23 starts in his career. I know this is probably not the most politically correct way to say what this sort of move indicates to me, James, but when Anarumo was hired, we had Chris Ballard on at the Combine, and we were talking with Chris about, hey, what are some of the positions that defensively you might have to scout differently now that you have a new defensive coordinator, and he mentioned defensive line. And as I looked a little bit deeper at the defensive line rosters in Cincinnati, where Anarumo was the coordinator for 6 years? I think it was 5-6 years, something like that. He had a lot of big fat dudes. And the Colts really haven't had a lot of big fat defensive linemen. They've had 310-pound dudes, and not big dudes in the recent era. This dude falls on that big space-eating, sort of defensive tackle. So, again, I think some of this is probably can be looked at a new defensive coordinator. So, yeah, that's an interesting one because unless I'm missing something, it's not like we've had a D-line injury here. Kenny Moore, right? Bang knee, and that was it.
Yeah, and so, again, Jack Wilson had the pectoral injury.
He was O-line.
Yeah, exactly. So, again, just a little bit of a depth piece there when it comes to taking a flyer on the guy.
Let's go to the O-line. That's what Mark Dykton wanted to ask about just prior to the morning check down. James Boyd, 4 days into camp. Again, I think full pads offer a truer evaluation, in particular with the offensive line. But any O-line thoughts here through the first week?
I don't have very many. I think that the rotations have stayed consistent with the quarterbacks, similar to Anthony Richardson and Daniel Jones. We've seen the Danny Penters of the world and Tanner Bortolini get about the equal amount of snaps. But I tell people all the time, it's very hard for me to say one way or the other, unless a guy gets absolutely beat or just crushed on a play, that they're playing well or not playing well, because you can't really engage and hit like that. I will say that there haven't been a lot of instances of me looking like, oh, wow, Matt Gonzalez looks completely overwhelmed at right guard. However, I think I'll have a better assessment for you all, especially those listening and asking in our YouTube chat as well, about the offensive line in the trenches. I think both of us will have a better understanding after today just because it'll require a little more physicality.
Yeah, I would say this. The O-line through the first week for me, evaluation-wise, James, it's you're evaluating a 15-year-old parallel parking in the school parking lot with no cars versus telling him to go parallel park on Georgia Street during Super Bowl week.
Right.
It's a little bit different from that standpoint. I do think we brought this up a little bit earlier. I think in general, the operation of the offense has not been smooth. Some penalties, some pre-snap stuff, some false starts. Tony Sperano Jr. was not happy at all. I think that was a Friday practice where he was not happy at all. We continue to see the center battle between Danny Pinter and Tanner Bortolini. Bortolini probably is the first guy. At least he was the initial starter, I should say, of training camp. But, how long does that battle play out? And then when Braden Smith missed for that rest day, it was Jalen Travis at right tackle. That is the rookie, another big dude, 6'8", 300 and something pounds, out of Iowa State. 4th-round pick there, started at Princeton for 3 years and then played at Iowa State his final season. And we know that swing tackle position can be pretty big. So, right now I would say, like, the O-line, it hasn't been, whatever. They're not living in the backfield, but I definitely have noticed a little bit more from a, again, center rotation standpoint. And then we'll see what exactly it looks like here when the full pads come on. I believe the sun is trying to creep through here in Westfield, but pretty overcast so far here on this Monday morning. Again, morning practices each in the next 2 days, full pads. I think a good amount here this week, and we will be out here Monday and Tuesday before we call it a camp from a morning show standpoint back in studio. One thing that I think has been one of the bigger positives, James, has been, again, the defensive effort, particularly in the secondary. I just think they have contested a lot more. And I go back to a quote that James Betcher, their linebackers coach, who's new, came over from Anarumo. He mentioned in describing this defense at one point in the offseason that they want to be more offensive playing defensive football. So if you follow that, more offensive playing defense. And I feel like we've seen that. It has been very reactionary, very just playmaking, disruption, all of that. I feel like the windows for these pass catchers and throwers has just not really been there. And then when they have had these moments of truth, boom, here's the ball. You going to catch it or are you not? More often than not, that ball's falling incomplete. So that quote has always kind of stood out to me. Be more offensive defensively. Again, you're not going up against the greatest show on turf here by any means, but I will say I think the defense has largely achieved that through the first 4 days.
Yeah, and I think, Kevin, to your point, you've seen just a lot more aggression, and that is something that this defense, I think, lacked under Gus Bradley, where perhaps you didn't have that in-your-face pressure. I'm not talking about the quarterback play necessarily, but just in general. We're not going to give you the underneath stuff. We're not going to give you anything, and so we've seen a lot more plays on the ball, I think, because of that, and the offense has looked a bit sporadic because of that too. Now, I will say that anything thrown in the direction of Travarius Ward or Cam Bynum seems like a bad decision so far. But even the other guys, I think, are getting in on some of the action as well. And particularly when it comes to linebacker, to your point, Kevin, about some of their play, they have been pretty good in coverage too, I've thought. And, Joe Bacci has been someone who is surprising to me a bit because he's been a special teams guy for the majority of his career. And he'll likely probably continue that role whenever Zaire Franklin becomes healthy again, but to have that in your memory bank of, this guy has shown a couple of flashes, perhaps he could help us in a pinch, similar to how Grant Stewart helped them last year. I believe Zaire Franklin might have missed a game or two, and Grant Stewart got to start, and he had that crazy tackling performance against, I forget who the opponent was. It might have been Detroit or somebody else.
Dolphins, maybe?
It was the Dolphins, actually, because they won that game, and I believe he had almost 20 tackles. And so is Joe Bacci someone who could give you sort of that relief in a pinch?
Yeah, Cameron Grown is another name from a linebacker standpoint.
Yep.
The LC kid that has gotten some reps as well. Tyler Warren thoughts. We'll provide that coming up on the other side. Joel A. Erickson from the Star going to join us here at 9 o'clock. Again, start time 10 a.m. It's still in the free practice entry fee. Colts.com/camp where you get your tickets. Free today, free tomorrow for all ages. I want to say Thursday it's just 17 and under are free. I think it's like $5 for 18 and older, and I believe that's the same case for the weekends. They've got a little bit of a staggered price schedule, depending on the weekday practice versus the night and the weekend sessions.
That reminds me of when I grew up, and we would go to Old Country Buffet with my grandma. And if you were a certain age, you would cost less, and so I was like 6 for a very long time.
I remember how happy I was. Some might say that.
And you know how little kids are. They want to tell you how old they are. I'm not.
Yeah.
And so, we had to rehearse the lies.
They put a mask on you when you walked in there, and you could take it off once you sat at the table.
My 4-year-old has been 2 years old for like 18 months now.
There you go.
I forget where my parents went when I was younger, but I stayed with my Aunt Kathy and my Uncle Tad, and they took me to MCL. Boy, I just remember how much I thought that was the greatest thing in the world. Like, of all the things, like, I went golfing with my uncle and, like, all that. Like, I just remember going to MCL and just being like, this is awesome. This goes back to if you had all the money in the world, what would you do with it? Someone said a bowling alley only open 1 day a week to the public, but then you have it the other 6 days. If you had all the money in the world.
That's interesting.
No,
that's oddly
specific.
specific.
Do you need all the lanes though? Like, if it's just one day.
I don't know. Maybe I don't know. Maybe it's like a 10-lane bowling alley, so you could have some friends over. Would you go indoor basketball court, James?
I probably would, honestly. I love my hoops, and so having the indoor basketball court and the thought of being able to just go shoot whenever I want is pretty cool. I actually do it a lot often when we're down at the station because we have one in the basement. So shout out to the company.
Yeah, but you could afford a regular-sized roof, though, with it, though. Unlike the
you can't get too many high-arcing shots. Lou Dort could not shoot. Miles Turner could not shoot in that basement down there at Emmis, but nevertheless, I've had a good time.
The basement is built for James Johnson jumpers, frankly, downstairs. All right, on the other side, how is Tyler Warren, Ben, and again, Joel A. Erickson from the Star. He'll join us at 9 o'clock. Kevin Bowe and James Boyd live here in Westfield, day 5 of Colts training camp.
You're listening to the Fan Morning Show on Sports Radio 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Is this Derulo, Mark?
Yes, it is.
Gosh, I forgot this was him. Boy, yeah, that's a concert for Live Golf, man. Who cares about Bryson and Joaquin Neiman when you got Jason Derulo in the building here upcoming in a few weeks? That would be Westfield, Indiana. That is where we are right now. And, again, the skies continue to look a hair dicey, but we're going to have Colts training camp here coming up 10 a.m. today, 10 a.m. to 11:15. It will be a full padded practice for the Colts. I found it interesting last week. I think it was Tom Manning, the tight ends coach. Actually, it might have been Jim Bob Cooter. I think it was. Jim Bob Cooter, the offensive coordinator, James, said that he was looking forward to getting Tyler Warren in full pads because he thinks the rookie tight end has some specific traits to his game that will be accentuated even more in full pads. So I'm curious if we do notice Warren a little bit more today. Overall, what have you made of number 84, the rookie out of Penn State?
I thought he was very quiet that first day of training camp, Kevin, and I was thinking to myself, do people forget that he's on the team? You should probably throw him the ball. But after that, I think he's been very involved in the offense, and honestly, he's made the quarterbacks look better than they probably are with some of the catches and some of the off-target stuff that he's been able to reel in, particularly with Anthony Richardson. I think Daniel Jones probably had a couple of ones that he wished he had back in that direction too. But for Anthony, he's bailed Anthony out at least 3 times that I can probably count off of my hand when it comes to just keeping the chains moving, which is something that, honestly, if you look at the quarterback play, you probably need somebody to make some of the more acrobatic catches because the ball isn't always going to be in the perfect spot. But he's an exciting player and someone I think that is certainly going to make an instant impact in this offense if given the opportunity to. You still got to give him the ball.
Yeah, I didn't think it was any sort of coincidence that the best day, easily the best day Anthony Richardson has had so far in camp, involved Tyler Warren catching the ball a lot from him. That would have been Friday. I want to say Richardson was like 8 of 11, and I think Warren had 3 of those grabs.
Yeah.
And one of them was a one-handed grab. And just in general, James, does it smell like pancakes and syrup?
I was just going to say.
What is that?
Is that you,
and
KC Valier?
Does it?
Man,
am I the only one that smells that?
No, it smells amazing.
Man, is a lawnmower putting down pancake and syrup?
It does sound like it smells like batter. Yes, it smells like a
yeah. It feels like I walked
Christmas
into
morning or something at the
honestly,
house.
it smells like I walked into like an ice cream shop here with a little cake batter ice cream here. Oh boy, that's gonna really mess with my brain here for the next few minutes. But yeah, I would say Warren in general, the catch radius, it's just different for him than other tight ends.
Yeah,
that's probably would be the way I would describe it. But again, looking forward to seeing him in full pads because I do think the Colts deep down they're a little skeptical on him as a blocker. Which is fine. I mean, I think you can hide that a little bit. But, you know, again, do we see the physicality that he played with at Penn State? Because, you know, Penn State, man, he threw some dudes out of the club.
Yeah.
When he got the ball in his hands. And do we see any of that in as physical as they can be here during?
Yeah. He's not like a wiggle guy. He's definitely I'll just run you over or drag you type of guy. We can go back to the John Riggins film that he was watching as a kid, and I'm curious to see if some of that shows up today.
Again, full pads coming up 10 a.m. for the Colts, the start time for practice. Let's go ahead and get to our Fever focus from yesterday. Big start for the Indiana Fever, and they're able to hold on in Chicago. They get the win. Fever focus brought to you after every game by Payless Liquors. Get more and pay less at Payless Liquors. James, it's rare that, like, I just simply point to, like, one player. And, again, it's probably unfair to, like, KK Timpson, some others that did contribute yesterday, but that was a day where you're very grateful Kelsey Mitchell's back on the 1-year deal. She was incredible, and not just as a pure scorer. She was highly efficient yesterday as well. Much needed without Caitlin Clark, so my Fever focus goes right there to one of the best scorers in the WNBA.
Absolutely. 35 points is nothing to sneeze at, especially in a 40-minute game. In the WNBA, they play 8 minutes less than the NBA. So that was a big-time performance, and they needed every bit of it, I think, to get past a little bit of a feisty Chicago Sky team. They were without Angel Reese, but nevertheless, without that performance, I don't think you win that game. But also shout-out to Chloe Bibby as well on the 7-day contract. She came off the bench and scored 8 points, hit a couple threes there. And like you said, Michaela Timpson continues to take steps forward, the rookie out of Florida State. Very athletic and looks to get more and more comfortable as the games go by.
Question in the YouTube chat. Any talk about Anthony Richardson's shoulder through camp so far? James, I would say one area that I am generally surprised at is we're sitting here on this Monday. Again, this is practice number 5. We just watched Richardson practice for 4 straight days. Yes, he did have a slight, a slightly fewer amount of reps in the individual drills.
Yeah.
That is the only time I noticed anything shoulder-wise, and that's with my own eyes or just in his workload. If you would have told me a week ago Monday, as we sat in studio right before coming out here for Report Day on Tuesday, that I would have watched the amount of Richardson workload he just got, I would have been surprised. So, I mean, I guess that's a positive. I don't want to, overreact to it. But, we certainly have, unfortunately, an availability and a shoulder question with Anthony Richardson. I'm generally surprised by the amount of work and the amount of throws he did do in that first week.
Yeah, and honestly, it's a good thing for him that he hasn't had any other sort of volume locks on his performance or any regression when it comes to ramping up. I'm very curious to see actually if it starts trending the other direction where he starts to get all the individual reps as well. Maybe not, maybe so, but something to keep an eye on. But overall, no, it's been a very normal, I think, approach for Anthony Richardson throughout training camp so far, which is really all you can ask for at this point for a guy who, every few weeks, it seems like, has something pop up. So if he can get through the rest of training camp with no other issues, just mechanically or physically, that would be a very, very good sign for him.
I think schedule-wise, Joel Erickson going to join us here in 5 minutes. Always enjoy chatting with Joel. We'll bounce some stuff off of him. I know Mark Dykton might want to chime in on a particularly big NL Central series here, although seemingly right now the only thing big NL Central-wise should involve the Reds. But nonetheless, Brewers and Cubs starting here this week. Rick Venturi, I think, will join us coming up tomorrow. Usually we have some sort of in-person training camp chat with Coach Venturi. And again, tomorrow is our final show out here of training camp. It's the final weekday morning practice of camp. So we'll chat with the coach tomorrow. And James, I believe JT Tuimoloau will join us here coming up. He got banged up at the end of one practice late last week. I have noticed him moving around a little bit, though. And again, from a D-line standpoint, the evaluation's a little bit more here in camp. So looking forward to that. We had him on, if I'm not mistaken, right after he was drafted, right?
Yes, we did.
I think he was one of the draft picks we had on. So that's a little bit of a look at what you can expect coming up tomorrow on the show. But right now here, 9 o'clock hour, Joel A. Erickson from the Star. He joins us next here. It is the Fan Morning Show live here in Westfield.
You're listening to the Fan Morning Show on Sports Radio 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Yes, we are live here in Westfield. Final hour on this Monday morning. Joel A. Erickson scheduled to join us here in a few. 10 a.m. the start time for practice. I know at times here on this Monday morning the skies have looked a hair dicey, but we're going to give it a go, and it is full pads for the Colts here upcoming today. So very much looking forward to James Boyd. I think just offers further evaluation. We've done the school analogy quite a lot here. If you want to call last week welcome week, I would say this week maybe we're advancing all the way to kind of midterms. A little bit more on the evaluation part for these players, particularly guys in the trenches.
How would you evaluate Brian Mason every day being out here running and getting it in?
Boy, that's a hell of an effort by that man right there. He's out here every morning. He is getting it in. He runs.
Does he have headphones?
No.
Or is he a serial killer?
No, I think he's just out here listening to the sights and sounds.
I guess to be a special teams guy, you guys just got to be a serial killer because there's no way I could run around and with no music.
He's smelling the maple syrup. Is what he's smelling here. Gates are open. Fans starting to descend upon the facility here at Grand Park. I know Shane Steichen won't say this publicly, James, but do you think in his mind he has a timeline of when he wants to name a starter?
Absolutely.
And what do you think it is?
To me, I've been saying I think it's by the second preseason game. You want to have that done.
So the first preseason game is a week from Thursday.
Yep.
They will then come back to Grand Park. So right now, let me add this up. 1, 2, 3. They'll have 5 practices between now and Thursday.
Yep.
Then that following week, they'll have 1, 2, 3 practices, a joint session with the Packers on Thursday the 14th, and then that second preseason game is August 16th inside of Lucas Oil Stadium. So you circle that date.
Yep. After that preseason game, that night, that next morning, you got a starter.
And you think he names that then publicly?
I think he would name it publicly probably the week before the last preseason game. Because at that point, your players need to know as well. And don't need to sugarcoat it.
Now, if you want to get technical, that would be our final. We won't watch training camp practices after that. Our final practice we'll watch is August 14th.
Yeah, fair.
So, it's not like these eyes, per se, would be getting a glimpse into exactly what that is.
Good point, but also I just feel like at some point you have to rip that Band-Aid off. And if you think that Shane Steichen hasn't thought about that timeline, I have beachfront property to sell you in the middle of Indianapolis. Because to me, he knows.
Well, have you seen White River?
Very good point.
Have you seen the canal? Come on now.
I said beachfront property, not riverfront. Nevertheless, it is still nice over there.
I can find some sand with some weeds in it, I'm
Got
sure.
some beach over in Fishers, don't they? There's a beach there.
Yeah.
It's like, are we stretching the truth a little bit here? But nevertheless, when it comes to quarterback play, he has to know, right? And I still think that, again, when it comes to consistency, the word that we keep hearing, Daniel Jones, man, you have not been consistent enough to even give yourself the illusion of being in the lead when it comes to this quarterback competition.
The best Colts player in camp not named Travaris Ward.
It's a good question. I might go Alec Pierce if I'm going to go offense. He's looked good. I think that Cam Bynum's looked very good as well. Trying to think of my other. Tyler Warren's looked good.
Yeah, I mean, Anthony Gould.
Joel A. Erickson always looks good.
Does.
Very handsome man.
He always has great binoculars. Joel, do you care if I get a glimpse of those binoculars?
Yeah. Go for it. Oh, you can see my future in those things, baby.
How much do you think a pair of these binoculars cost, James?
Oof. I'm going to go. Joel strikes me as someone who's very smart with the money because of the children.
These are unbelievable.
So,
you can see Sheridan from here.
Yeah, I'm going to go you spent $70.
Oh, no. There got to be more.
I think I got those on sale for like $45.
Really?
See, I told you he was not going to be spending money like that.
Joel, you know a bargain.
I should have took the under.
I mean, I can read people's credentials from across the
I'm
field.
telling you, man.
These are beautiful.
They are really good. I got them from if anybody wants to put a sporting goods store in the Indianapolis area and is listening, get us a Shields. Get us a Shields All Sports.
Really?
I've been to Shields in Nebraska. My family lived out there. It's like Dick's on steroids.
Joel A. Erickson from the Indianapolis Star with us here live at Grand Park in full padded practice coming up here at 10 o'clock. First off, thank you for joining us. I know it's still a little bit early before practice officially gets underway. I'll just throw that same thing I threw at James. I know Shane Steichen won't say this publicly, but do you think he has a date in mind of when he wants to name a starter? And if so, what do you think that date is?
I was thinking about this. I think you can get away with the new preseason schedule. I think you could almost get away with waiting till the third one.
Ooh,
After the third one.
Yeah, because there's still
that time.
There's still a big, like, it feels like there's a huge chunk of time to me.
That's fair.
Between the third preseason game, when it was 4 preseason games, it didn't feel like as much time. Now it feels like they played that third preseason game and then we wait like a month for the opener. I don't think it's actually a month.
Yeah,
but
technically it's 2 weeks and a day. August 23rd to September 7th.
I still think if you wanted to, you could wait. I think the other thing is I might be giving it a little bit of a longer leash because right now I don't have like a great leader in the clubhouse or anything. And that's got to start emerging real fast for Shane to have to make a decision.
You think same quarterback playing this week, 50-50 split?
Yeah. Yeah, I can't imagine that you'd seen anything from the first 4 days. And Shane actually kind of said this, I think, on Saturday, that, you got to wait and let's see some stuff play out. But I think you guys have been watching as well as I have. Like, I don't see a ton of separation yet from either player.
Which I would say for week one, guys, and feel free both to chime in, I think that hurts Daniel Jones more than it hurts Anthony Richardson.
Yeah, we were debating this earlier, Joel. If there is a theoretical tie, does tie go to the runner or the incumbent starter in Anthony Richardson?
I actually think, I don't know if you meant to do this, James, but I think you got it. Tie goes to the runner.
Yeah.
Daniel Jones can run. Daniel Jones is a very good runner for most quarterbacks. He's not Anthony Richardson. He's not a goal line weapon that is unlike just about anything else in the NFL other than maybe Jalen Hurts on the tush push. I'm trying to think of somebody else who you can run him in so many different ways. I think if they're, as passers, if you feel like they're right around the same area, then just the dynamic ability of Richardson, plus the incumbent stuff, but the dynamic ability of Richardson in the running game puts him over the top.
So we were also debating, has anybody looked better than Charvarius Ward in camp? Your thoughts on his play so far and anybody else that stood out to you, whether it's offense or defense?
No one's looked better than him. Ward is a must-see. I love it every time. Now we got one-on-one reps on Saturday, which was huge. That was the first time we got to see that. He swallowed Michael Pittman on both of those. But if you've been watching before, Alec Pierce has gotten him, I think, twice. Other than that, I don't know how many times I've written down catch on 7. Like, it's every time that he's involved, it's usually a PBU, it's an overthrow. He also did something that I haven't seen anybody do in a real game in a while. Like the very first day, they tried to run a deep route with Pierce.
Right.
Pierce is one of the best deep route runners in the NFL. Like he's the first guy since Deshaun Jackson in 2010 to average 20 yards per catch on 37 or more catches. Like, I don't care what people think. Alec Pierce is one of the best deep threats in the NFL. And they tried to run a route the first day, and Ward got him pinned to the sideline, and he couldn't finish the route. That doesn't happen to Alec Pierce. Like, Ward looks incredible right now.
Yeah, I would agree. You think he shadows just big dudes, or do you think he also could shadow little dudes?
That's a really good question. We haven't seen him necessarily against sort of like the Tyreek Hill water bug type.
Right, and like week 1 you got Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle. Week 2 you got Cortland Sutton. Like I look at the schedule and think Cortland Sutton seems like a ready-made guy for him to try and shadow. The Hill and Waddle, and I know we're getting in the weeds with this, but the Hill and Waddle thing, I'm a little, I don't know about that.
Well, and like the other thing about it is just there's not really a guy on this roster, this Colts roster, that I think mimics that. Josh Downs is quick. I don't know that Josh Downs' long speed is kind of the same way that you look at Hill and Waddle. He's more of like the slot guy. So I don't know if we're going to see in camp. Maybe Zay Flowers is maybe a little bit more like that. He's a smaller guy, but maybe in the joint practices we see something. Jaden Reed, but I don't. The Colts roster is bigger. It's a bigger receiving core with the exception of Downs.
Joel A. Erickson from the Indianapolis Star. He's with us here live at Grand Park, and fans starting to come into the facility up here. 10 a.m., a full padded practice. I think a good amount of full padded sessions here this week. 5 practices in total, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday night, and then Saturday and Sunday morning. I know Mark Dykton wants to chime in on what is a rather large baseball series upcoming here in a few minutes. Before we get to that part, we just ask you to describe Charvarius Ward.
Now, can you describe the camp so far of A.D. Mitchell?
It's been rough. I don't think there's any other way to say it. He's James. I think you said the other day you had him for 4 drops. I think I'm in the same category. There's also been a lot of kind of what we saw last year, where it feels like there's a miscommunication. You can't really tell, if it was Mitchell. Now, I will say this. One of the differences this year is, like last year when it was Flacco, if there was a ball that kind of went nowhere, you kind of assumed it was Flacco. Or you kind of assumed it wasn't Flacco. You kind of assumed it was Mitchell. It's a little bit harder to do. Although I do think Daniel Jones, generally the ball goes to the right spot. But it just hasn't been – I think the other thing that kind of stuck out to me is that, his whole thing is he separates better than anybody else. And we didn't even see that the first couple days.
Right.
It has not been sort of the step forward training camp that, frankly, Alec Pierce had last year. Last year at this time, we were like, Alec Pierce looks great.
Yeah.
He looks different. He looks great. He kind of looks the same way this year. Mitchell has not looked like that so far.
No, and you know what? I believe you were the one that pointed it out. The narrative on Alec Pierce last year was very harsh. You would think the guy was dropping passes left and right, whereas that label, not to say that we should bully A.D. Mitchell, but I think that label kind of fits him a bit more this year because he has not looked like he's taking a step forward. But to pivot a bit, we were talking about Tyler Warren and some of his early heroic acts so far. How can he perhaps help this quarterback room, no matter who it is, just because of his ability to catch what would be, in theory, uncatchable passes?
Yeah, I think, we've kind of already seen it. I think I've got 4 or 5 balls written down to Warren that really weren't great throws. And he's made the catch on it and picked up yards. I think he helps them just because some of those – it's the kind of stuff that we've talked about with Richardson before, where a 4-yard gain, as boring as it looks, is still better than an incomplete pass. It gets you in a better situation. It moves the chains, And so Warren being able to make some of those catches on poorly thrown balls. The best one he's had might have been the last day out here. I'm pretty sure it was Richardson. There was almost like a swing pass or a screen.
Yeah.
And he threw it way behind him, and Warren just stuck his left hand out and caught it in stride and kept going.
Yeah. Running the other way.
Yeah. Yeah, and it would have been a short gain. It wasn't going to be a lot, but that's also
second and 10 is now second and 7.
It's the difference of second and 10 and second and 7. Now, flip side is if the quarterbacks don't start putting it where Tyler Warren can run after the catch, they're going to hurt him a little bit. But he's definitely going to help them, I think, with some of what we've seen, him having to make catches in positions that, just frankly, I don't know. I remember a ton of tight end catches last year that weren't right in the breadbasket.
He is Joel A. Erickson. You can read his work over on the Star. Him and Nate Atkins out here doing tremendous coverage when it comes to Colts training camp.
Oh, yes. I am a subscriber to Indy Star. I tell Joel every day. I double-check my stats just to make sure I'm not, too far off with my numbers because he gets his out so fast.
He is all over it per usual. It's a complicated question, I feel like. I struggle with it. I struggle with it annually in training camp. Is one unit that good or is the other unit that bad?
It's a great question.
And I guess I asked that in regards to the Colts' pass defense right now. I can't recall a 4-day stretch in training camp where I've seen the Colts' pass defense get their hands on this many balls, force this many incompletions. Not just because of errant accuracy, because of 50-50 moments are turning into 80-20 for the defense. And so I asked that to you. They've made major investments back there. They brought in a new defensive coordinator, so part of me is like, no, that is going to be a good unit. But then I'm also like, they're going up against a passing offense that would, rival Navy or Army right now.
Yeah, the hardest thing, the hardest thing is that we don't have, because there's been so much quarterback change over year, we don't have necessarily the same backlog of stuff. I remember when I covered New Orleans, the first couple training camps, it seemed like Drew Brees completed 85% of his passes in camp. There was never a pass breakup. But then they got Marshawn Lattimore. They got some other guys. And all of a sudden, even Brees had some incompletion, stuff like that. We haven't seen that. That's not the same thing here. There's no 85% completion in the back of this, other than, Phillip Rivers, back when we were stuck in the corner in the COVID year. So I wonder the same thing. I think the biggest thing about this camp is, and I won't be there, Nate will. I know James will be there. Baltimore and Green Bay. You're going to get, I think you get a better look at what this secondary can do, because you can, that's going to be Lamar Jackson. It's going to be Jordan Love. Those guys, you expect to complete a lot of passes. If we're writing down PBU over and over and over again in our notebooks those couple days, I think that's an indicator that what we're seeing from the secondary is real.
So, Joel, as the bachelor on the show and someone who does not have children, I do have an ask. How does summer look for your children right now? And is it coming to a close at all? Because Mark was saying his kids start up school, I believe, this upcoming Thursday, which is kind of crazy to me that school starts Wednesday. Wednesday. So his children will be back in school on Wednesday in July. I never went to school in July, but I know your kids are younger. But how is everything going on in the Erickson household?
Well, August in the Erickson household is a rough month because I go back to work, and then my wife's a kindergarten teacher, so she goes back to work as well.
God bless her.
Amen to that.
So we kind of both go from not doing anything in the summer to 120 miles an hour right away. My kids just got back from Alabama, or not from Alabama, they're in Florida. They were at Navarre Beach last week when camp opened. But yeah, you can feel it coming. They were up last night till about 9:30, and I was thinking to myself, this is not going to fly in about a week and a half. It's fine now, but maybe the older one can make it that way. But I mean, my wife has to leave at 6:50 with them, so it's an early start time. So they're starting to think about more school. They're starting to.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to turn this into politics and where to vote and whatnot, but man, daylight savings time. As someone that used to golf until 9:45 in the summer, I now have not taken a 180 on it. Whatever makes it darker earlier in the summer, I'm all for that with young children. All right, Mark Dykton, the mic is yours. You and Joel A. Erickson. Is the winner of this series won the Central? Are we there?
Oh boy. Is it that? I don't know. Tonight's pitching matchup is outstanding, though. You got Mizrowski for Milwaukee, and you've got Matthew Boyd for the Cubs. So they specifically saved Matthew Boyd for this opener against the Brewers. So I will just pose this question to Joel. Are your Brewers, how many are they going to win in this series, do you think? And then are they going to be buyers at the trade deadline?
Well, they're definitely going to buy. It's probably not going to be – I'm not expecting Suarez. But –
it's a former Red, by the way.
And the Reds are interested. The Cincinnati Reds are interested. Did you see that report, KB?
I did. Matt Taylor's perking up over there.
The Reds are what, 6-7 over now? 6. There we go.
6 and one back of the wild card.
One back of the wild card. Anyway, so I'm not expecting a Eugenio Suarez. I am kind of hoping that there's a player who people are not talking about because the Brewers have so much controllable pitching. That they can give up, that they can make a move at the deadline. Because, Mark, you know this, whether or not – I actually don't think that whoever comes out of this series wins the Central. I think it's a 5-game series when the Brewers are in 19 of 18.
What are they doing playing a 5-game series? Is that rain delay?
Mark's team did that. They
doubleheader on a Monday?
There was a rain out, and the Brewers wanted to play the doubleheader on that Thursday of that week. And the Cubs looked at the schedule and thought, you know what would be really good? We should give the Brewers a 5-game series instead of a 4-game series.
Yeah.
In August.
Okay.
Yeah.
Strategically.
But I think the other thing is just it's how they come out of the deadline, how both teams come out of the deadline is interesting because, Mark, I think you can agree with this. The Brewers are pitching. The Cubs are hitting.
Yep.
And whichever team can balance themselves a little bit more probably has the advantage. I still think the Cubs' depth of their lineup is good, but once you get rid of some Ben Brown starts off of your mark, I think that's probably going to help you.
Yeah, I don't like that Seth Lugo is apparently staying with Kansas City. He was the guy I had targeted for a possible trade deadline pitching ad, but he looks like he's staying with Kansas City. I don't know. I'm looking forward to the matchup. I wish all the best to Joel outside of these 3 games.
Oh,
so
stop.
We'll see what happens.
He does not wish all the best.
Stop.
I hope you guys have a great season, and then you eventually dump all your players at some point. Mizrowski
Mark
goes
trying
somewhere else.
To position one of his daughters to marry the Erickson boys at some point here down the road.
I know better. I know. Mark's in this day after day. There's no way he's wishing us a good deadline.
NL Central hatred is like AFC North hatred. Like those AFC North fan bases bases hate each other with just pure venom. That's the NL Central. We hate the Cardinals. We hate the Cubs.
I used to have an affinity for the Cubs, Mark. Did I tell you? Have I told you this?
No, but now I will use that to dig at you going
He's
forward.
going to clip it.
I used to have an affinity for the Cubs because growing up, most people know this. The Brewers were terrible when I was growing up. We weren't a threat to anybody.
Oh, is he a bandwagon?
But you grew up in Wisconsin, correct?
I grew up in Wisconsin, but the thing is, like, when I was a kid, they were American League. They weren't National League. That was towards the middle of being a kid. And my grandfather, because it was what was on cable, watched a ton of Cubs games. My thoughts on the Cubs have changed, Mark.
That's okay.
Over recent years. But
speak your mind, Joel. But you got something to get off your chest. Speak it.
Right.
But KB's right. I don't think there's a lot of fan bases in the NL Central that are super okay with each other.
No, I think everybody hates the Cardinals.
The only thing we can all agree on is that we all hate the Cardinals. I think that's fair.
Everybody hates the Cardinals, and everybody else doesn't really care about the Pirates. Like, oh, they're going to sell everybody off anyway. Paul Skeens is going to be a Yankee in a few years. Yeah, I say that, I wish you well, but that's only just good sportsmanship in case the Brewers blow the doors off the Cubs today. I took the high road.
I have already moved my brain to the thought of, whoever wins the division. Right now, whoever wins the division, the other one would be in the top wild card spot, which sets up a second-round playoff matchup, which I don't know if my heart is ready for.
Boy, that is intriguing. I will say you that.
It's quite the week for the Cubs. They got a three-gamer at the end of the week against the Redlegs here upcoming. As always, Joel A. Erickson, we greatly appreciate your time, your insight, and as a third party, I will say genuinely good luck to your Brewers this week.
Good luck to your Reds.
And as
one team will lose, so I'm good with it.
As a
good
current
luck to your
Cubs
Reds,
fan,
specifically at the end of the week.
As a current Cubs fan to a former Cubs fan, Joel, I wish you good luck.
Oh, former Cubs fan is strong.
This is turning way too mushy for
strong.
me.
That's strong.
Will you please hit a morning check down, Mark?
I didn't hate them.
The Morning Checkdown on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Joel A. Erickson from the Indianapolis Star. He's signing off with us here. He'll have your coverage upcoming. It is day 5 of Colts training camp. The full pads will be on 10 a.m. to 11:15. We'll get to, I don't know, maybe a somewhat interesting roster move the Colts made here in a few minutes. We'll hit on that for you. But James Boyd, let's begin with what was a very busy weekend in the Indy sports scene. Let's actually start up in Chicago, speaking of Chicago. And that was Indiana Fever all over the very banged up Chicago Sky. Angel Reese did not play, for those that care about that. Caitlin Clark continues to miss time, but good thing they've got the lefty, and that is the great Kelsey Mitchell, because she was getting some buckets yesterday afternoon.
35 points in a little under 30 minutes. Talk about efficiency. She made 7 threes. I did not know. It said on the broadcast she's made 9 threes in a WNBA game, which is the league record, so she can line it up when she gets hot.
If I'm matching sexes correctly here, we oftentimes say a team might be another team's daddy. If we're talking about it from a male standpoint, would you call the Fever the Sky's mommy?
Yeah, for sure.
They own them, right?
Yeah. People keep saying they're rivals because of proximity, but you got to win.
It's like a double-digit win every time for the Fever.
Yeah, this is unfortunately, Mark. This is like growing up until recently, because I will say the Bears won their last game at Lambeau Field, but that's how it felt with Bears Packers.
Ooh, Mark Dyson catching a stray.
Yeah, I don't know.
No, I mean I'm with them on that. I'm just saying, man, we got to be honest about these things, right?
Boy,
I mean,
Mark,
Joel
James had a comment a few minutes ago that he might regret.
Hey, Kevin, be quiet. Be quiet. You ain't got to bring that up.
You catch that, Mark?
Yeah, I caught it.
It was pretty bad. It was actually very bad.
I have a feeling we might hear that before 10 o'clock arrives. All right, let's get to the racing from this weekend. Over at 60th at Georgetown, it was Bubba Wallace, the first African-American ever to win the Brickyard 400. Overtime out there. By the way, the great Adam Alexander, who many of you heard on the call, sounds like he's going to be out here at Colts training camp. Looking forward to catching up with the North Central grad. But yes, Bubba Wallace holding off Kyle Larson.
Honestly, fair. That's fair.
I've got Live Golf on my mind here. Bubba Wallace holding off Kyle Larson there for the win on the Oval. Pretty cool scene post-race out there with his son and just what it meant. And even in the the Brickyard winning there, which he hit on a lot, it was important for him to qualify for the playoffs. Unfortunately, Chase Briscoe struggled and did not have a great race after being on the pole. Some other local angles, Catherine Legge, top 20, and, of course, Kyle Larson, the defending champ, was your runner-up. Out in Laguna Seca, it was Alex Palou, race win number 8 of the year for him. His dominance has been unbelievable, and it continued yesterday. He led virtually the entire race. Christian Lundgaard was the runner-up, and rounding out the podium was Colton Herta. That is your podium out there at Laguna Seca. Busy month of July is complete, and I think with Palou winning that, we have now done with any sort of drama for the rest of the year from a season series standpoint. That's really it on my end. You guys got anything else from a weekend standpoint that I might have missed there?
I believe Terry McLaurin reported to Washington Commanders camp. Otherwise, he was going to get fined a lot of money to not be there. So he's now doing the hold in, shifting from the hold out. So the Indianapolis product trying to get paid and still far away from a deal from what I understand with the Commanders.
And an ankle injury, right? Is what
yes.
he reported?
He's literally
Jonathan Taylor 2.0?
I was going to say he's taking the Jonathan Taylor blueprint. He suddenly has an ankle injury. He's on the PUP list as of now, so he can get all of his money without being fined. But we've seen this movie before here in Indianapolis, and perhaps he has a little bit more leverage because he is a wide receiver, and he's very good.
A few people in the YouTube chat asking, yes, Jeff will be back tomorrow, so we look forward to having Jeff Rickard back with us. Other item I was going to name, I think I told you guys this, Kyle Schwarber. You know, I know baseball historians would just laugh at the thought of him as a Hall of Famer, but I have said he belongs in the Hall of Fame entertainment section. Do you see the stat on Schwarber here? Mark, he hit his 319th homer over the weekend. That is the most homers in MLB history within a player's first 1,000 hits.
Wow.
So he's reached the 1,000 hit mark, and he's hit 319 homers. Mark McGwire was 311. Aaron Judge, for example, 308. I think that stat further endorses first ballot Hall of Fame entertainment, Kyle Schwarber.
I'm telling you.
Yeah, but not in the actual Hall of Fame.
No. But Hall of Entertainment.
Yeah.
Kyle Schwarber's in there.
Yeah, this is like my Jamal Crawford takes about the NBA.
Sure. Honey Badger for college football, right?
Yep.
Didn't we say him?
Very good point. Who was the other one from Michigan who was all over? Jabril Peppers?
Oh,
he was fun.
He played both ways. Chris Gamble at Ohio State, if I remember correctly. He tried to do
That's actually a question I have for you all. I don't know if we have time, but, you know, we'll do it after the break.
Should we do the other side?
We should.
Little tease there from James Boyd. Little Colts roster move as well. We'll hit on that coming up next. Colts training camp day 5, full pads starting to come to life. We're here in Westfield.
You're listening to the Fan Morning Show on Sports Radio 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
You can hear in the background the sights and sounds of Colts training camp is alive and well. Honestly, if this cloud cover could just stay, sign me up for that. 10 a.m. to 11:15. Hopefully Mother Nature will cooperate from a rain standpoint, James, because this is definitely the most anticipated day so far of camp. I think always the first full padded practice is that. And I think anytime you get to week 2, the staff has now had a day off. They can kind of regroup after 4 straight days. Do we see any depth chart changes? What's the quarterback plan? And obviously the overall physicality of camp about to ramp up.
Absolutely. I mean, this is the day where a lot of football players will tell you the pretenders kind of get separated from the real guys and the real ballers. And so who stands out today I think will be certainly of note. And particularly, again, I'm curious when it comes to the quarterback play if the pads will make a difference for someone like Anthony Richardson, who perhaps is a better runner than Daniel Jones. But in fairness to Daniel Jones, when he did lead the Giants to the playoffs, I think he ran for like 700 yards that year.
He can scoot.
So he can scoot as well.
Before we get to the tease that James Boyd had, do want to mention this. The Colts did make a roster move a little bit earlier in the show. They signed veteran Josh Tupou. I hope I'm saying that last name correctly. That is a defensive tackle. James, I think it's of note in that this is a dude that has plenty of history with Lou Anarumo. Comes over from, I believe, 4 years with Lou specifically as a defensive tackle in Cincinnati. And he is 6'3" and 340 pounds. It's been a while since the Colts have had a dude that big on their defensive line. And so from a space-eating defensive tackle, is this something that Anarumo wants to explore?
Yeah.
In, again, kind of retooling some of this defense.
Absolutely. And then also to piggyback not only off of Lou Anarumo, but Chris Ballard loves the trenches. And if Lou Anarumo is saying we need this guy, how quickly do you think that deal got done? Because he's always trying to sign those guys up front. And, you lose Taven Bryan. Well, I don't necessarily say lose, but he moves on in free agency. You bring in Neville Gallimore. And so now you have a chance to add some more depth there. And you never know how things shake out throughout the season. And so, to me, this is like a low-risk, potentially high-reward type of pickup for this team.
Again, I think anything defensive-related, and there are bigger storylines that will fall into this category, but I think anything defensive-related, personnel moves, it's always interesting when you bring in a new coordinator. Do we get to a point where it's like, no, they're a Gus Bradley guy. No, they're a Lou Anarumo guy. I mean, I hate to black and white it out that much, but I do think that is something that you typically see around the NFL. So we'll continue to monitor that. All right, you had a little tease for us here before the break, and I kind of forget what it was in reference to.
I did have a little bit of a brain fart there. I can't remember the exact first part of it, but along the lines of us preparing for football season and preparing for college football season as well, in addition to the NFL.
Sure.
Who is your favorite college football player that never became an NFL star? And to answer my own question, because I'll start it off, mine is Braxton Miller, Ohio State.
Braxton Miller.
I still remember the spin move against Virginia Tech when he switched to wide receiver after the quarterback injuries.
Did he play wide out in the NFL?
Briefly, but he never really panned out at the next level. But, man, Braxton Miller was, like, to me, godly in NCAA football. He was phenomenal.
Boy, I'll try to, I would say nationally, and again, a lot happened off the field. A lot might still happen off the field of this man. Watching Johnny Manziel play football was quite the sight.
Yeah, that was fun.
That A&M Alabama game is one that I will always remember. From a Notre Dame angle, I will say, honestly, I thought you were going to go basketball because I love Luke Herringody like I love one of my kids. I love Herringody so much. I want to give him a hug. I might go Manti Te'o. Now, I know he had more than a cup of coffee in the NFL, so he might be one. I'm thinking like dual threat quarterbacks is honestly what's kind of like coming to my mind a little bit here. And he was at Indiana when I was there. I always thought Kellen Lewis was a really good college player.
Yeah.
And he was just kind of fun to watch.
That's a good point.
Mark, I'm trying to think of I'm trying to think of others. Mark, you got any?
I didn't necessarily root for this guy, but I thought he was really good and would translate. Matt Leinart. I thought he would have a lot better pro career than he ended up having because he seemed like he was just I hate to bring up USC, Kevin, but I'm just saying. I thought Matt Leinart would have a really good career, and he just he was there for a cup of coffee, and then now he's doing the broadcasting thing. But I thought he would have had a better transition from the college to the pros.
Fresh off of a plane, I believe, from Iceland, Greg Rakestraw is with us here right now at Grand Park. Greg Rakestraw, James Boyd's question, a great college football player that never panned out in the NFL.
Well, your favorite one.
The thing is the reason I was going to let you boys be and not bother you on the show, but I'm like, we're at Colts training camp, and I just heard Kevin drop Luke Herringody. And I'm like, this man's love for Notre Dame Irish basketball exceeds no bounds, except one for my own personal benefit. Because literally, my friends at Sports Michiana posted the Notre Dame non-conference schedule like Thursday. And I think I had some downtime. I was just sitting in my stateroom on the boat, and I immediately texted KB, and I'm like, hey, the Vandals are looking pretty good, meaning we should plan our next road trip for December the 10th to Purcell Pavilion, or whatever they're calling it these days, to go watch a Notre Dame basketball game. And he said, would you stop texting me and just enjoy your vacation?
There is nothing more than Greg Rakestraw than 3:40 on Tuesday. All of a sudden, I'm listening.
That's 7:40, by the way, Icelandic time.
To him with JMV, and he is still doing his weekly segment. And John has no idea where he is. And all of a sudden, Rake lets him know.
Would you like to go behind the curtain on that?
I do.
Yeah. So I teased it up the week when I was filling in for John the Monday and Tuesday before I got out of the country, literally. Like, hey, I got a long trip coming up, so you won't hear me on the show next week. James, of course, forgot that. So James texted me like he normally does on a Tuesday, about 3 hours ahead of the show. Hey, you good for the show this week? I kind of look at our itinerary for the day, and I knew that I was going to be kind of chilling. We had to get on another boat to go whale watching at about 8:15 Icelandic time, and we were 4 hours ahead. So I'm like, you know what? This will be fun. Yeah, call me. Because cell service worked just fine when I was in the fjords or out in the Arctic Ocean or North Atlantic Ocean, wherever the hell we were. And so, yeah, we had a good time. And I kept trying to draw up as many hints to John as possible, because I think Ozzy had just passed away. Like, hey, BBC broke in on this. And took about third answer for John to figure out, hey, wait a minute, where are you? And hilarity then ensued.
Nothing like Amy. The 50th birthday party. We're going to have to put that on hold. I need to chat with John here on a Tuesday.
But you know what? That paid off, because I was supposed to fly back Friday night, and I was going to be working at the Brickyard on Saturday afternoon. Flight to Newark went just fine. Newark to Indianapolis didn't happen.
Ooh.
I fly back Saturday morning, and guess who fills in for me from noon to 2:30 on the Brickyard Preview Show on Saturday?
JMV?
JMV.
Look at that.
It's a good thing I got him that Icelandic football shirt when I was at the airport at the duty-free shop on Friday morning.
1,000%. You can rely on him. I kind of forget what our national preseason schedule looks like. Are you on the call for all three of them?
Al Michaels has stopped taking money from my kids' Christmas fund.
Good.
So for each of the last 2 years, I have lost the third preseason game to Amazon Prime. Myself, Rick Venturi, Joe Wrights, we all will be sharing the duties this year for the preseason games.
Joe Wright's in the building.
I will have all three. Yep.
Love
Joe
that.
said the team's in pads today. He can show up.
I was going to say, full pads, no shock. Joe Wrights makes an appearance here. It's probably maybe too early to ask you this, but it was always a must-watch appearance when Jim Irsay would slide in the booth with you. Are you expecting Carly Irsay-Gordon?
I have not heard whether that trend is going to continue or not with Carly. I hope it does, but I have not been told either way on that.
Well, the other thing I want to ask you, Rick, besides football, college football, how many years is this for you? I've been asking everybody around here. Venturi has everyone beat, I believe.
Yep.
Him and I think he actually beat Chap because he got a few Baltimore years in there too. But what year Colts camp is this for you?
So the first time I went to Colts camp would be 2001 at Rose-Hulman. And it wasn't an every year thing. I missed 2 or 3 years when I was kind of away from the Daily Beat and not for the Colts. JB, this starts my 14th year doing the Colts radio network. And if you skip the COVID year, this will be my 7th year of doing the preseason games on television. So I have now been kind of back, if not on the Daily Beat, then the close to it.
Nice.
So I was in Anderson from 2012 through, I think I want to say 16 that we were there, and then 17 was the year that was back at the complex. Everybody kind of knew, hey, it's not going to be a great year. Andrew's probably not going to play. Let's just have this here. Then we started back here in 2018. And then I remember training camp in 2020 with no preseason games. And we kind of had to stand like outside the indoor practice or give like a certain amount of distance between us and the players.
Yeah, we were closer to the Eagle Creek Airport than we were.
So that was my say anything moment. I was watching an indoor practice as it was raining with like the garage doors pulled up. And I'm like,
wow.
I really must love my job if I'm out here doing that.
Wow.
Yeah.
That was indeed life in 2020. I do see, and Kirk, listeners reached out to me, it's pouring right now on the south side of Indianapolis. Skies don't look great up here, but radar, I just pulled it up. It doesn't indicate anything too crazy. So we are going to practice. It looks like here. Players are out on the practice field and less than 20 minutes away from our first full padded practice. Rake, we need to start our weekly 8 a.m. combos. I know we continue that a whole lot during the summer, but we need to make that pretty consistent because every time I've driven by Westfield so far, I don't see players out just yet.
They were out this morning.
Okay, are we? Okay, I was like 6:30. Maybe I was a little early, but are we done with the moratorium? Are we starting high school football practice?
So high school football practice officially starts next Monday.
Got it. Okay.
Obviously, teams have been scrimmaging, working out, etc. Basically, if you're a fall athlete, you have 2 weeks of moratorium. July 4th is the IHSA mandated moratorium for everybody, but then you have to pick another week, and the schools can kind of pick. This is the other week in which our athletes will not be practicing. Some take it this week as a break. Others just kind of take it over a 2-week pattern. So there were several scrimmages last week that were not in pads. Everybody has usually a full-on scrimmage the Friday night before on August the 15th. So this week's kind of hit and miss from a workout standpoint. Obviously, you've got some schools that are back in session. Since I now have a high school-age kid, I know North Central starts on Thursday. But in terms of the official practices leading into the season, next Monday, August 4th, is the first full day of practice. August 22nd is the Friday Night Lights kickoff.
That man is back from Iceland, and you're going to hear him a whole lot. And certainly we always enjoy our Friday combos with Greg Rakestraw. Rake, thank you. And Mark Dykton, let's do it one final time here. Live from Colts Training Camp in Westfield, this is the Fan Morning Show.
You're listening to the Fan Morning Show on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
I think a pretty fitting final re-entry here, Mark Dykton, for the first day in full pads for the Indianapolis Colts. Players out at practice. The full pads are on, and we are about to get, I would say, a little bit of an amped-up physicality. Now, James Boyd, this might be the best the practice has felt, though, from a temperature standpoint. As we sit here right now, the breeze feels good. It's overcast. I mean, it looks dicey from a cloud cover standpoint in terms of potential rain, but knock on wood, hopefully the radar stays clear. 10 a.m. to 11:15, the Colts full pads coming on today.
Yes, it feels very good. I don't need my Snuggie today. It's not cool like as it was a few mornings last week. I know you looked at me in disgust when I wore a hoodie, but feeling good. And obviously it's a big day, I think, to kind of separate yourself if you are one of the quarterbacks in particular or someone else on the roster who you think the pads will sort of favor. So Tyler Warren is someone I keep an eye on because he plays a bruising style of football. And also when Chris Ballard and Shane Steichen kind of hinted at being more physical throughout training camp, does that literally mean when the pads come on we'll be more physical?
Yeah, so those are some things definitely to keep an eye on. Again, some of these longer drive periods, Shane stressed that last week of, okay, do we get a little bit more of whatever, 10 plays with the offense? Typically Richardson or Jones, no matter who is with the starters, it's kind of like a 5 to 7 play period, and then they exit for the second unit to come in there. Do we see a little bit more of longer full team periods, again, in not 11-on-11 work? I think that'll be something to keep an eye on today. Do you think, full pads offers any more evaluation quarterback-wise, or given the red jersey, it's pretty much the same thing for them?
I think it's pretty much the same. However, I do wonder if there's a few more, run plays involved, power run with quarterbacks, things of that nature. But, yeah, you definitely can't touch either of them because if you do, you might be getting chewed out by the head coach.
JT Tuimoloau, that is our scheduled guest upcoming here on the show tomorrow. And hopefully Rick Venturi going to join us as well. So we are 10 days away, I guess, from our first preseason game. Is that a light drizzle, I feel?
I was going to say, it is raining, Kevin Bowen.
So we'll have to keep an eye.
I think it's Mike Chappell's fault. He just walked in. It's already raining,
He's got the umbrella.
He's got the umbrella. He's prepared. He's a veteran. He knows what he's doing.
Which, again, typically if you don't bring the umbrella, then you need the umbrella.
I do not have an umbrella.
Bring it,
I'm still a rookie at this, chap. I have my bucket hat, and that's it.
For those that are close to the Westfield Grand Park area, I still fully expect them to attempt this practice outdoors, just to be clear here. I see Shane Steichen walking on the practice field right now. So I think they're definitely going to give it a go. Again, the radar didn't show anything too alarming here. Right. And, as long as you're not getting lightning in the area, I think you will try this. I'm trying to think, James. I don't have the schedule in front of me, but I know they're at Tennessee early in the year. From an outdoor venue standpoint, I feel like they do play a good amount of outdoor games here this coming season. So, maybe a little bit of a precursor to what you could have in some outdoor venues.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, Tennessee is early on. Obviously, in L.A., it's the Dome, but they also play Pittsburgh in November. That's going to be a cold one for sure. Kansas City in November. So won't get those sort of elements out here today, but nevertheless, it's always good, I think, to play outdoors versus indoors when it comes to football.
Again, today and tomorrow morning are the practices here early this week, and then the rest of this week, it's just the big night practice on Thursday. So that is 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. with some fireworks afterwards on Thursday's practice, and then Saturday and Sunday they will go 10 a.m. Each of those days. Anyone in particular, James, you kind of look at week 2? I mean, quarterback is the easy answer.
Yeah.
But if I had to say, important week for this guy, it might be an important week to make the team. It might be an important week to, cement yourself on the depth chart. Anybody you look at and think, you know what, it's kind of a big week for that guy.
Big week for A.D. Mitchell, I think, after a rough first week of training camp. Not saying he's going to be cut or off the roster, but if you want an opportunity in that wide receiver room, you got to show us something. And then a kind of a sneaky pick, I think that, RB3 role is kind of up for grabs. I think throughout the first few training camp practices, the running back depth chart will probably be Jonathan Taylor, followed by DJ Giddens, the rookie out of Kansas State, who I think has gotten a good amount of reps with the second unit. But Khalil Herbert, Tyler Goodson, could one of those guys, be duking it out for that final, spot at running back, and then tight end as well. Jelani Woods flashed a little bit last week, but if you want to make that final roster, can you do something else to stand out?
Yeah, I think those are all good answers. A guy like Juju Brents, I might throw into that mix.
That's a very good one, too.
You think about the third corner right now with Justin Wally and Jalen Jones. Can Juju string a second straight week of practice together? And, again, once you get through the 5 practices this week, it starts to get into a cadence of like 1 to 2 practices, preseason game.
Yeah.
1 to 2 practices, preseason game. So your opportunities are just a little bit smaller than they currently are. So I do think from that standpoint, it is going to be a big, big week. All right, as always, Cam, thank you, on-site engineer. Mark Dighton, great work back in studio. James Boyd, Kevin Bowen. We are signing off to preview the rest of the week. JT Tuimoloau scheduled to join us coming up tomorrow. Should have a Colts player Wednesday. I believe Rick Venturi at some point. I think Joe Wrights. Saw Joe Wrights in the building today, so you'll hear him a lot here coming up this season. Everybody have a great start to your week. Thanks for starting this